before we start. I feel weird with being the only one with headphones on, so I'm gonna take them off.
Girl, we went through so much.
I know you did. I told you to stop.
Keep them on. Keep them on, Lauren.
Should I keep them on?
Yeah, keep them on.
Okay.
Yeah.
God damn.
Plus, you want to look like the only autistic one. You are the only autistic one. So.
Thank you. I feel seen and heard.
Let's represent a little bit, shall we? Don't be ashamed.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Diversify. Diversify.
Yeah, we got 2 Puerto Ricans this time. A Danish person and an autistic.
My therapist told me I might be a little bit autistic.
I didn't mean to out.
It's kind of a new thing for me. I still need to dig into this.
I didn't mean to out your autism.
My therapist told me 2 weeks ago. My therapist told me 2 weeks ago, why are you resisting your depression? And I was like, okay.
Oh, wow. Just embrace the fact that you're like
He was like,
get that weighted blanket, girl.
yeah, your therapist needs a weighted blanket with all that truth he's spitting.
He was like, bro, I'm going to speak the truth to you. And I was like,
so
okay.
Yeah, that's a good point, though.
Yeah, we've been rolling.
All right, let's clap. Right?
Have we?
Oh,
Okay.
clap.
2, 3, clap. All right. That helps a little bit. We give everybody to clap when they come here,
I did it right this time.
Yeah, you did. I usually
ready.
did Jess clap? I didn't hit the
She
replay.
went,
Instant replay. You clap? All right.
Yeah, oh, looks good.
Yeah, all right. There you
cool.
go. This is the one. You're one of the few guests that actually clap. I always throw people off guard. They're like, "What the fuck?" And then I get mad at them, and they're like, "What the fuck is happening?" So.
I'm a professional.
Guys, welcome back to another episode of Lauren. You're fired. Jesus Christ, Nick. Can you get over here, Nick? Can we just have Nick? Do you know how to hit keys so you can fucking change the angle?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Another episode of. We'll do it again. Guys, welcome back.
You can't say.
What you can't say?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Bro,
but we say
what
it
the fuck? Yeah, this is the spin-off show. Where, look, she's fucking Googling the name of the podcast that she's on right the fuck now. What the fuck?
Listen.
Jess, do you know the name of this podcast? I don't know if I should feel bad about that or just happy that people are still coming on when they don't even know what the fuck they're going on.
Manny's house.
Manny's house.
Did Manny just call you?
That's only 50%
Be
true.
like, come on my show?
I know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw that there was something productions, but I never saw
you
where
are
the
giving
name.
us way more credit than we
What the
deserve.
name of the
I-
podcast?
No, listen. I can see the poster, but the words are a little scary.
What did she say? You might not be able to say it. What the fuck did she say? You things you cannot say. Okay. Nick, we got this thing.
What's the name of it?
Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back to another episode of.
You can't say that.
Thank you. No. Evidently, they literally cannot say it because they don't know what the fuck to say.
That's the name of the podcast. You can't say this.
Yeah, it's the name of the podcast. Welcome to this.
Things
Welcome to You Can't Say That, Jess.
I
You
thought
were
there was
close.
something in the title that had like the N-word or something, and Lauren was like,
Wow.
I can't say it.
Yeah, no.
And I thought that's what was happening right now, and I was like,
wow. Why would I, me, the N-word? Jesus Christ. I would never say it.
Oh my
Right.
God.
Okay. That's such a good marketing strategy. Name your podcast The N-word. You know what I mean? It's actually, if you name it The N-word, that's actually a funny podcast name. So you're onto something here.
That would be a wild branding package.
yeah.
Especially if you're like a Puerto Rican who's not nearly dark enough to get away with it,
Are you talking about you?
That's possibly, yeah. So we're going to change it to the N-word after this. We'll go with that, all right? No, welcome.
Things you can't say, like the N-word.
Right. For anybody who doesn't
Podcast.
know, this is a podcast. You can't say that. Obviously, I have 2 people here that thought they were coming on, like, I don't know, the Joe Rogan Experience or something.
Manny's
but I just
house.
fucking switched them.
It almost wasn't. You can't say that.
All right,
It was
listen.
almost something else.
All right.
This is good story.
You guys
What's
are
the
fantastic.
Lauren, Nick?
Listen, no, look. We have a special guest here today, okay? And I mean, very, very special guest, And again, with the special, I need a different what's that, an adjective? Like a description for a word? What's a good one for you?
Yeah, how would you describe yourself?
Like
We have
that
a very-
noise.
Yes.
I'm awful at talking about myself. So
You're a comedian. That is not true. I
no,
think-
it is.
Joking.
No, positively, I have a really hard time doing that. Talking
Well, listen,
about
I
myself
got some things.
positively.
Look, we have a guest with a shirt today and some shoes.
No,
I like the word charming.
Charming. Okay, I get charming vibes from
Charming,
you,
right?
All right.
Charming. I'm
Very-
single.
Very beautiful, yes, if I may.
Thank you,
if I
guys.
dare, Okay, awkward enough. This is Jess Torres. Fan.
Beer.
There you go.
How was traffic getting here?
I saw many accidents.
Did you? I hate that, bro.
I saw many.
Every time I see someone on the side of the road, I'm not even Catholic enough, and I always do this, bro. Spectacles, testicles, water, and watch. You know.
Spectacles, tacticals, water, and watch.
No. Spectacles, testicles, wadded, and watch. I think I got that from Austin Powers from back in the day.
I think
Spectacles,
you did.
testicles, wadded, and watch.
That's a Mike Myers thing for
yeah.
sure.
I always do that whenever I see it, because dude, it sucks so bad. And I always have just barely enough money to go where I'm going. You know what I mean? So it's like, I can't deal with any like extreme circumstance like this. You know what I mean? And every time I see somebody on the side of the road, I'm like, fuck, guy, I'm so sorry. You know what I mean? If I was a better person, I'd stop and help you. But unfortunately, I'm not. So, no, but it does suck. So you saw a lot of accidents over here? Was on the way over?
Yeah, I stopped counting. But there were some gnarly ones.
From Orlando to here. So you're in Orlando.
I'm in Orlando.
Orlando-based comedian.
I am. But I live in a part of Orlando called Maitland. And so Maitland is like more north, not like central Orlando. It's about 10 miles from downtown Orlando.
Oh, shit.
So it's like an extra...
Like an extra 10 miles.
Yeah, some extra mileage, you know.
And tell us how long you've been doing comedy for and what got you into it.
Okay. I've been doing comedy for like a year and 8 months. Year and a half-ish. And I got into it because I got divorced.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good fucking
reason. No. You were telling me you fucking started a new life now, right? After
I started a new life. But I mean, there needs to be more context. I'll try to minimize it a little bit because I feel like I talk about it a lot on podcasts because people always ask this question. I've always been a big stand-up fan my whole life. It's been part of my whole life since I was a little girl, and it was a bucket list item for me to do. Like, oh, one day in my life, I'm going to do stand-up. I'm going to pursue this. When I was younger, I did a lot of acting. I went to school for acting. I was a professional actor in New York City for several years. And it was still always like something in the back of my brain, like, I'd like to do this. I'd like to do this. And then, you know, you fast forward, you try new things. You meet your husband, you get married, you buy a house, you have a baby. And then it's kind of like all of your dreams are, you know, become... someone else's. Right. You know, you have to start fulfilling other people's dreams. And when my husband and I had decided we were going to get divorced, we stayed separated and lived together for over a year on opposite sides of the home.
Did you start stand-up during that time?
Yes.
Yeah, girl!
I started during that time because at the time, I was a fully remote employee, and now my company is hybrid. And so I was also home all day, and he was currently unemployed.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was like, I need space.
Oh, yes.
Give me a microphone.
Yeah, I was like, I need time. I need whatever. So I haven't told this part of the story in a lot of podcasts. So anyway, I saw someone I knew from my personal life had said that they took a class at the Orlando Improv.
Like, bitch, I could do this too.
Yeah, that happens
part.
so much.
Because I didn't particularly find this person funny.
Right.
Ooh, it was one of those where like, you're not even funny.
I was like, I also didn't even know that was like an interest of theirs. This was like mind blowing to me. I was like,
you did this shit, bitch?
This person's doing this?
And
like,
right.
So then I contacted them. I'll tell you who it is after.
We can always bleep it out. I find that funnier. If you just say the name and I'll bleep it out.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, say the name. It's fine.
Will you'll bleep it out?
Yes, I'm not going to not tell you that.
Oh,
okay.
And so...
I don't know who that is, but...
So...
we'll definitely bleep it out. It's gonna be funny.
Thank you. And,
or I'll put someone else. I'll put someone else's name. Put like Eddie Murphy or something.
Yeah. Put, like,
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy. And so I reached out to them and I was like, hey, what's up with this class? And they were like, oh, yeah, like if that's something that interests you, you should totally do it, blah, 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 this and that. So I contacted the Improv, and Carmen, who teaches the class, he was ill. And so they currently didn't have class. Class was on pause. And I was like, oh, okay. So then I just started doing some research, like, are there any other classes in town?
Yeah.
Or like,
It's
you know,
it's the first Google. I remember when I started, I was like, where do I go? And then you have to get yourself into the community. Yeah.
So then I forced a friend to do it with me.
What do you mean forced? Did you fucking
because
my
friend is actually, or? I think she's incredibly funny. I think she's better than me, but didn't choose to pursue it or anything. But I was like, please, we've always wanted to do this. And her and I, one of the bonding things that, you know, started our friendship was kind of like, just there's an age gap in our friendship, but one similarity we had would be like, oh my gosh, you know, like, did you see Anthony Jess on the last night? Like, it was just kind of like we were the only people, right. And so I was like, what if we wrote, like, for real? Like, I had been writing for years, like in notebooks in my home, and I was like, but what if we go to a class and like what are we missing or whatever? And I kind of forced her to do it, and so I took a class. And it was an amazing experience, and my classmates were amazing. It was just like a perfect mix of people I would have never met or whatever during this situation. And the host for my graduation show, my first showcase, my first time hitting the mic, the host is now one of my closest friends, Danielle Mathis.
I love that bitch.
And yes,
do I have to bleep that name out?
No. Danielle Mathis is amazing. And so I just remember, I don't even remember what number I was, but this girl sitting in the green room, and I was like, and she's like, you're gonna be good. And I was like,
yeah, she does the thing with her hair.
And I was like, okay, like, you know, whatever.
I don't know what that is, but I wish I did.
All right. And then she's like, everything's gonna be so good.
I love her so much. Okay.
And then I hit the stage, and I had a lot of family and friends come out. And so when I just came out,
first time, that could be good, or I mean, it could be good.
I
in the
had
sense that
over 50 people.
So how was your set? Like, how'd you do?
So I went over time, but I did very well.
You went over time.
I took time from the stage.
I took time, and I went longer than I was supposed to, but it was fine.
How much longer did you go?
Oh, significant.
Oh my God, girl.
We're talking like 2 minutes?
I think.
Less than 2?
No.
Over 2 minutes.
It had to have been over.
No, but you know what?
She's like 30 minutes and shit.
I think I'll send you
an hour.
There's a YouTube link on it.
I don't know if I have enough memory. I don't know if I have enough memory on my phone to download.
The performer in me was like, slow, like, don't talk fast, slow down.
Oh yeah,
get out your punchlines. And then also, I was pausing for laughter.
Yeah.
And I didn't want my jokes like to like get lost.
Yeah.
And so people were laughing or clapping, and so then I would wait, and then I would go on. So that also took up, you'll see in the video, took a lot of time.
Right.
And so after I did it, I think people were like surprised. People were like, that's the first time you ever did that? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, Jess, I think this might be something you're gonna do. And I was like,
I love that.
Oh, for real? And yeah, so after the show, like, everybody went out to, you know, celebrate and everything, and my friends and family and people were like, you got to do it again. You got to, except for my mother. And you're Puerto Rican, so you'll understand this part of the story.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, my mom, it was like, I could just see, like, she was like, oh, my daughter's going to be in bars for the rest of her life. Like, you know, she was like, so I was so excited. Like, all these people, and my ex-husband even came, like, with my son. Yeah, no, he brought my son, because I was like, you have to bring my son.
Was he laughing, or was he just looking at you like, this bitch?
No, he was like, that was very impressive. Like, he was like, he like couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I want you back. You're so funny.
I was like, no, yeah. I didn't know you had
there were moments of that, and I was like, the wheels are already in motion. But no, my mom, I was like so excited, and I like when I was like, Mommy, what did you think? And she was like, did you get it out of your system?
Oh, that's funny.
That's what she said, and then I was like,
what do you think she doesn't like about it? Do you think it's that, like, it's the environment of, like, the bar environment, drinking?
I think the dichotomy of, like, who I was to her and, like, who I currently am. I mean, I say pussy on stage every night.
She's like, little Jessie.
Yeah, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like I think my set is pretty sex positive, and she, like, you know, for my mom, is like, why do you have to tell people about that? You know?
Yeah, I get it. I can imagine that happens a lot too, especially with, like, older parents. Like,
yeah, moms are like that. My mom, when I started comedy, I can relate to you. My mom was very much like that. She's like, you're telling all the people.
Yeah, you don't have to tell people everything.
I was talking about her, so maybe.
I had a whole bit about how she's a bitch, and I don't think she liked it too much.
She doesn't want me to do comedy. This is why she's a bitch.
Yeah.
But I'm sure you did not talk shit about your mom.
No, and I actually told like a funny story of my grandmother. Now, the second time I did that particular stage, I said the last time I was on this stage, my mother asked me if I'd gotten this out of my system. And everyone just started laughing. And I was like, I guess the answer is obviously no. And just so you all know, my mother is not here tonight. And yeah, I mean, she's come a couple times, but there's been moments where she's like, oh, I wish you would stop and blah, blah, blah. And then she'd be like, what time is your show on Friday? And I'm like, pick a lane, sister. Like, what are we doing? Like,
well, you know, I feel like a part as a parent, you always want to like be supportive, even if you kind of disagree with what they're doing. As long, I mean, she knows you're not like a fucking professional hitman, or you're not doing something
right.
super
I think
black
she's
market.
Just like,
unless you might be, I don't know.
I think sometimes just like
depends on how good you are.
we get used to it, you know. My mom's out like. We get used to it. I don't Google the room. If I've never been to the room, I don't Google the room. My mother will, she'll be like, did you see?
See? So
she's like,
wait, why don't you Google the room? I stalk the place. I'm all over it.
Because I'm kind of like, ugh, like they're all this, like at this point, they're so all, nothing's gonna do it justice until I'm there. I'm like, the paint's chipping, yep. I'm like, they only serve beer, okay. Like, you know, it's kind of like everything is its own thing. There was, and then there's some places you can't like prep yourself for, like the first time you book certain rooms and then you like post it, or you know, you like share like your month flyer, and then other comics will like DM you and be like, have you done that room yet? And I'm like, no. And they're like, okay, let me tell you. And then you get a lot of that, and I'm like, oh my gosh. So the consensus is I try, and I have to pivot a lot for white Republican men. They don't really? Like me.
Is there a lot of white Republican men in Orlando?
No, not Orlando so much, but like I do Melbourne a lot.
Yeah.
And then there's St.
Daytona,
Cloud,
right?
Daytona. I haven't done Daytona yet, but like Melbourne, Melbourne is so funny because there's one side of the beach that's like very Gen Z, and they fuck with me so hard.
Oh yeah.
And then the other side of the beach is their parents, and they're like,
I don't want you listening to this later.
We hate you, like, you know. But I think they also hate me because they're like, my kid probably thinks you're cooler than me, and I am, and so they get mad about
how
it.
come
you know,
like me? She's the same age. I don't get it. That's unfair, you know?
And I'm like, your kids are fucking drinking kava with me. They're fine. Maybe you should do something nice with them too.
That's funny.
Would you call yourself the mama bear of Orlando comedy?
I would not.
You would not. Because you've been doing it for about a year now, you said.
Yeah, I think I'm part of the parental unit. There's
like a group chat just making sure we all get home by 9 o'clock.
I do have those tendencies. But when I first started, so I'm new to comedy, but I'm older in age. So when I first got there,
unique experience.
Correct. People were like, oh, do you know? And then they just started naming every other comedian who was 40, and I'd be like, yeah,
40 club,
they'd be like, oh, they're not here tonight, or you know, there was like a lot of jokes like, is this past your bedtime, and all kinds of like.
Well, considering that you look younger than most of the comedians that I know,
yeah, which is also a weird thing. I'm kind of like, you look 40, bro. Like, I'm like, what are we doing here?
What's happening here?
Like, you look like you're dying.
Dude, there's so many like fucking. I'm not far away neither. You know.
I'm like, what is happening? I'm like, nobody's healthy. Nobody's, you know, whatever. So.
Oh no, this is comedy. If people just fucking crawled out of their basements and shit and fucking got on stage.
Yeah, like, are you guys? So it's always funny, like, because yes, I'm doing stand up. Yes, it's an environment like that, but I'm also in like this weird transition part of my life of like being like healthy and on a journey. So it's kind of like, oh, like I'm always like working out, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, and everybody's like, and you do comedy? That's like like let yourself go a little bit, basically.
It is kind of odd when you see a comedian.
I'm like, I'm single, bitch. I got a reverse time.
It's kind of odd when you every now and then you run across a comedian who has all their life together. It seems like, you know, I mean, you're like, how do you operate? How do you do comedy while you still?
I have a theory. I think it's called motivation.
There you go.
Is that what it just you seem very motivated?
Self-motivated.
I am.
Yeah, self-motivated. That's a good word.
Yeah.
I don't like to fail. So if I'm gonna do something, I'm like, I'm all in. Like, I don't want to do anything half-ass, full-ass only. So
full moon, baby.
Full moon. So it's kind of like, all right, if I'm going to do this, then I'm going to, commit to writing, and I'm going to network, and I'm going to hit mics, and I'm going to, like, you know what I mean? And I also have a full-time job, and I also have a child. So
and a child, right?
And a child. And
I want to leave that
and
out.
A child, right?
Yeah.
I hate to leave that. I know he's pretty low on the priority list. I hate to leave him out.
We've said it 3 times, but I only have the one child.
Make it clear for any Tinder candidates out there, one child. She wants to make it very clear.
Not on Tinder.
You know? Are you on, what's the other one called? Not Tinder. The other one I haven't been on. Not Bumble. Hinge. Yeah, there you go. Hinge. You seem like more like a Hinge gal.
I am a Hinge gal. I'll tell you the story if you'd like to know. I
love stories. Go.
I joined Hinge back in May.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm old school. I'm like, if I'm meant to meet somebody, I'll meet them in the universe. So I'm like, not online. I'm also online all day for work. So the last thing I want to do is like stay on there. So I was like, oh, fine. Friends were like, well, that's how you do it now. That's how we date. And I was like, all right,
I didn't hear it.
whatever.
Wait, what did she say?
They're like, that's how it goes now. Like, that's how you meet people. You meet people online. And I was like, all right, well, I'll try it just so I can say I did it and, whatever.
Have the experience. I won't do my set, but I talk about that experience, like, on stage. And then after a month, I was like, I saw what I needed to see, and
I swiped left enough times, right?
And I'm out. So then I deleted it, and then I started. You guys are younger than me, so can we talk about dating? Because I think it's weird.
Okay, no. I'm not,
so wait, how old do you think we are?
Yeah, I'm 34, so I kind of relate a little bit to what you're saying, in many ways. Especially
34, but what I'm saying, you're 34, I'm 40, but for you guys, internet dating has always existed during your dating time.
Trying to think when was the first.
I would say internet, yes. Mobile app,
AOL.
No, mobile app came a little later on,
like,
and I think that's a big distinguishing line.
The
mobile app ones came when I was like 19, in my 20s, I think.
That's what I'm saying. Like dating, like a swipey swipe, like that. You guys have had that your entire dating career.
Well, not my entire dating. I'm saying like in my 20s and shit. Like before that, AOL. We had the internet before that. Like we were like AOL, Instant Messenger, and shit like that. AIM, shit like that.
Aiming.
You remember
but
that?
then I do remember when the mobile apps came out, bro. Like when Tinder came out. Yeah. My boy showed me. I was at a bar. I was old enough to be at a bar. I was at a bar. And he was like, bro, no, just find girls in your geographical location. I was like, what the fuck? That's how he broke it out to me. I was like, what the fuck? Okay, let's do this. Could be somebody right now. It was like Pokemon Go, he made it sound like, Like,
I gotta catch them all.
I was like, is that you?
I think you make a great point, because if we think about technology and how fast it moves, right? 1 year is like 10 years in technology time. So the gap of 5 years, like I meet a 30-year-old now, because I'm 35. I meet a 30-year-old. I'm like, so much is about to happen, in your life. So
and also, just taking a break from dating and then getting back, like after you're in a relationship for a while, bro, you go back out there, you're like, what the fuck is this? You're like, bro, it's not as easy as it used to be. Like things are different. You know what I mean? Like, what's happening?
It's like the Marvel blip. I literally got thrown into the dating scene, and I was like, the fuck? I was like, what are y'all doing?
Everybody's wearing different clothes.
I'm like, this isn't how this is supposed to go. The first person I dated post-divorce was 30, so 10 years younger than me. And I was like, ooh,
so you went straight to cougar status. You went straight to on the prowl.
No.
It sounds like it. I don't know.
They came to me.
Oh yeah, okay.
And then that is when I found out that is a thing.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, oh, everybody. Not only are you dating now. Now I'm like, people have like. I mean, we've always had kinks, but like people are very outward with it. Like, I'm wanting this because I want to date a mom.
Yeah.
And I'm like, because the mom is me, or just because I'm a mom?
Yeah, what do you mean by that? Break that down. What do you mean by that? Do you need like a mom figure? Or
I
do you
think
need,
we're
like,
talking about fetishes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. So yes. So I've only dated 2 people, and that's the thing too. Now the way dating is not how it was back then. Because like to me, dating, you don't you can have titles, but you don't need to.
I do.
Yeah.
Give me a fucking title. I
need
pen.
I mean,
you need girlfriend?
She needs a pin. I need a pin. That's hilarious.
You need
she
girlfriend.
Needs a whole uniform. She needs a girlfriend.
I need girlfriend. I'm sorry. If you're gonna spend the night at my house and kiss my forehead and not
hold on, wait. How many times? Like on a kid? Like
let's give it 3 months.
3 months, and I'm doing that consistently. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
But after the 3 month mark, then it's like, what are we doing, right?
I go. Hey, you. I feel like this would be a great partnership. What do you think? And then they're like, I can't talk. And I'm like,
I'm busy right now, climbing out of your window.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just like fucking up. I don't know how to do it. I'm like bad at it.
What, dating? No, dating is rough. Look, honestly, I find
everyone's bad at it.
Yeah. Especially the dating part.
Don't like it.
Because
what I want, I think people are like, I continue to be told, like, that's just not reality current. Like, that's not, like, what you're wanting, that's not, not that it's not attainable.
How high are your standards? Let me hear. What is a must?
So here's where I am right now. Here's where I am. So right now, I would like, if we're spending time together, I'd like more than the bare minimum. That's fair.
Right. Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay. You're not talking about me. Wow, I feel like
more than the bare minimum. So with that being said, like, to me, dating is going out on dates and getting to know someone.
Yes,
it is not like we ordered in food and we're watching a movie. Like, sure, that's part of getting.
On occasion.
You want to be wined and dined. You want to dress up. You want
to
You want to feel
It's
sexy.
called
Are you a Libra?
dating. No, I'm a Sagittarius.
I'm a Libra.
It's like, you know, if we're dating, I want to know that you want to be seen with me.
Right.
And you know what I mean? And that's that fair. You know, it doesn't mean, I mean, I just got divorced, so I'm not looking to get married. Ever.
Right.
But that doesn't mean I'm not looking for love and I'm not looking for a life partner or someone to do life with.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to just give someone a title if I don't feel like they're meeting the bare minimums. I'm a strong communicator. So I'm not, you know, confrontational. I'm just like, I'm in the moment. I'm kind of like, let's get into this. Like, you know, whatever. And it's like, yeah, I would like to be someone's girlfriend, but I don't want to be someone's girlfriend while they're figuring out how to be better for me.
But also, I do have to remind you that you are a comedian. So your lifestyle is also, like, dating as a comedian.
Yeah.
I'll ask you, like, has your dating with that aspect in your life? Because you're also an actor, too. So, like, I guess I'm wondering how that has been for you, that you're experiencing that.
Yeah, has it changed your day? Like comedy?
Just like
I think comedy, because I haven't acted in a really long time. So stand-up is definitely different because I'm not playing a character. I am myself.
Yeah, but you're also out every night. Like,
you know, I'm out, you know, when I need to be. Whomever dates me needs to understand, like, you know, okay, these are the days I have my son. These are my free days. These are the shows I've booked, and so this is my calendar. This is when I have
you can take me out.
The opportunity. Yeah, so it's like I'm not asking a lot. Yeah. So all I'm asking for is that when we do have the opportunity, you're present. Like, don't be on your fucking phone.
Yeah. Girl, you be looking at me. I'm getting nervous now. You look at me. I'm like, I'm not on my phone. Jesus Christ.
Because if I look over there and Nick's over there, people are like, who's over there?
I'm like, shit, all right. Damn, do I look like an ex or something?
No, you're gonna be telling the men, like, you can't be on your phone. Like, if there's one thing I don't have, it's time. So if I'm with you, I'm making time. So I need to know you're making the time for me too. Because you know what? Shit, I could be on my phone too. But like, let it be known. Speak it. Like, if you would rather be on your phone than be out with me, say it. Like, you know what
Habla.
Talk. Use your words. You know, because it's kind of like, that's not gonna hurt my feelings. What's gonna hurt my feelings is you doing an action or not taking actions, and then me having to guess what's going on.
Ugh.
Yeah, and I hate that too. I hate when you go out with someone and they're fucking on their phone and shit. It's like, bro, what a level of like disinterest and like fucking.
Yeah.
What's your opinion about texting in a car with somebody?
I hate texting. Like, if I have to, I always say to somebody
on a date.
Sorry, give me a second. Just in general, if I ever do and I have to, I make it. I'm very apologetic about it. I always say, "Yo, my bad. I have to answer this." And I was like, "I don't want to." And then you're always like, "Oh, it's okay." But I'm like, "No, I hate doing that type shit." You know what I mean? But if I have to, I do. But I don't try to do that. I always try to stay present and in the conversation, you know? So.
I got to go back to the technology thing of, like, it moves so fast that as a society, as a society, we now have new social norms with technology, right?
Yeah.
So, like, before, you didn't have phones, so it wasn't an issue of being in a car with somebody or being on a date with somebody.
That's very true.
And now it's like you have this device, like literally, it's sitting right here. You know, yours is recording me. Like, it's always
I guess
around.
the equivalent would have been like, why are you always reading a newspaper when you're fucking, in the car,
right? Yeah,
like reading a fucking Reader's Digest. So you don't want to talk, just talk to me, you know. But that's very true though. Not having, like, even walking your dog. Like the other day, I went to walk my dog without my phone. I was like, oh shit, I left my phone. I'm like, bro, in the 90s, we was walking dogs without a phone.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? It wasn't even that long ago and shit.
Walking
you know
dogs,
like,
you mean going on dates?
That's what it feels like sometimes.
Walking the dog.
See, that's what you can call going on dates. You gotta walk the dog.
Your first comedy special, it's called "Gotta Walking the Dogs."
Gotta walk the dog.
Yo, but let me say this for both of you guys. Do you ever feel like a man is intimidated by the fact that you do comedy?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And how does it manifest? Like, are you just like
Lauren?
No, you go first.
I think a woman not being afraid to use her voice and in front of a group of strangers night after night, right. I think men are like, oh fuck, like, you know what I mean? If it's not for all people, and that's fine. Like if a guy's like, hey, I'm not down with that, that's fine. But I will say, like, I've gone on dates like, and then during the date, sometimes I'm like, please don't flatter yourself, but they're like, are you gonna use this? Like, are you gonna put me like in your? And I'm like, no.
There's so much of that. Like, even at the level of comedian that I am, you get in an Uber ride sometimes. Yo, my God, I tell them, hey, I'm a comedian. Oh, you're a comedian. The next fucking 20
Tell
minutes
me a joke.
is them telling me the shittiest jokes. It's like, I know about going on stage. You know, here's one. How do you blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, Jesus fucking Christ. You know, I'm like 3 times to me. I'm like, fuck, you know. They just keep going and going. It's like sometimes it's better to just keep it.
Oh my God.
You know, keep it out.
Can I tell us a quick story?
Absolutely not.
Okay. And let me know if I told this on the last time. I was also having fun then. But so I was driving back from a show in Panama City back to Tampa a few months ago. And shout out to Panama City Comedy. I love them so much.
Woo! Shout out to Panama City Comedy.
Yeah, so it was like 2 a.m. I just wanted to get back home. I was like, I gotta see my cats. I gotta go snuggle with nobody. And I had been celebrating, you know, because I had just also been to Atlanta too, so it was like a fun little like road trip. So I was celebrating, and I like also had some fun little plants in my car, and I was just like going 55 in a 55. Through these small towns that all of a sudden it's 55 and then it's 35.
Yeah, it's like, right,
it's like bam, and the cops sit right
there waiting for you. Yep.
And I didn't see the sign because I don't know where the fuck. It's 2 a.m, right?
Yeah, you're cruising.
I'm fucking. I'm scared. You know, whatever. And then, woo, lights go on. I'm like, fucking shit, cack. And then I'm hiding everything. All of the fun I have in my car, I'm hiding all the fun. I'm just like,
Her brawls, her panties were soft.
I was shaking. And he pulls me over and he comes up to the window. He goes, you know how fast you're going? And he's like, what? No, he's like, why are you going so fast? Where are you getting to? And I was like, I don't know. I just got done. And I told him I was a comedian. I was like, I just got done at a show. You know, I just really want to get home. And he's like, oh, yeah, you a comedian? Tell me your joke. I was like, and I was
God
just
damn.
like, well, at that time, he had gone to my car or gone to his car and brought another guy. So there were 2 cops.
He brought an audience.
And then I was like, okay, here we go. And so I start telling my joke. But in my joke, I realized that there's a part where I have to mention that I'm on drugs in the joke. And I'm like, I can't tell that joke to cops that just pulled me over. And so mid-joke, I flub, I miss the tag, I drop the punchline, they didn't laugh. And then there was like, they didn't laugh, and then I was like, Bob Saget said I was funny. And then they like, and then, that's all I can think of. I was like, I'm really a comedian, I promise. Like,
Bob Saget said I was funny.
Yeah, and then they chuckled, and I was like, see, I made you laugh. And I was just like, and then he luckily didn't give me a ticket. He just let me go. But then I drove away with my hand out the window. I was like, Bob Saget said I was funny. Like, but I think that was the worst situation that I've ever been in where someone's like, tell me a joke.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's like, he essentially was like, tell me, make me laugh or you'll get arrested. That's kind of what it felt like. You know what I mean? Like,
but I was also very high. So like,
none of that happened. It was a meter maid. She was parked and shit, you know.
Thanks for listening to my story.
No. That's a crazy story. You should
Great
do
story.
Animated short on that. That's funny. No, thankfully I don't get, I have a perfect driving record. For being such a fuck up, I have a perfect driving record. You know, I never fucking hit anything, so. Knock on wood. So last time I got pulled over, the guy was like, "Listen, you got a perfect record." It was in Illinois. So it was like 8 years ago. He was like, "You got a perfect record. I don't want to be the only guy to fuck it up." So he let me go. But I was thinking, man, if it was anybody else,
what a nice guy that
anybody
was.
else
It could have been another guy who was
like, "I can't wait to fuck this up."
dude.
You know what I mean?
Like, I'm gonna fuck up his life.
Yeah. So shout out to whoever that guy was. I remember his fat face with the mustache.
Yeah,
and shit,
fat face guy.
I don't know who he was and shit, but yeah, I guess either way, back to dating. I don't know how we ended up on
tell me a joke when, like, even in relationships, when I think when you try and date someone, as a female comedian at least, as soon as they bring up, "Oh, I've always wanted to do it," the red flags for me. "Oh, I've always wanted to do it." My friends have said I'm really, really funny, and not Dane Cook. Yeah, Dane Cook is my favorite comedian.
Oh yeah.
I like Dane Cook, but like it's just
I know.
But your favorite?
But your favorite?
And then when he was popular,
I was just gonna say also the relevance is like
yeah. But there was such a class of people who were trying to talk like him and kind of trying to be like him a little bit. They would just like, I don't like your fans.
But I love his physical. Like, I like Dane Cook because of his physicality. But I feel like Dane Cook is also in the same camp as Joe Rogan guys. Like they're just like. Because, I mean, you could like Joe Rogan, but when you're like, Joe Rogan is life and everything is...
Yeah.
When you breathe his dick.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, but people who like him and like Andrew Tate and all those people, it's like they got like... That's like their own church, like bro church.
Yeah. I mean, Andrew Tate, too. I mean, he's a little more on that red pill shit where they have like really misogynistic and shit like that. I don't think Joe Rogan's completely in that camp.
I'm pretty
red
sure.
pill.
I think when Nikki...
maybe. I don't know. I mean, from what I watch of them, I'm not the hugest fan of all of them, but I know Andrew Tate was on some real misogynistic, like like trafficking and shit. Like
he's in Romania right now, right?
Like
he's all
he was like going to jail for some
locked
shit like
up. Yeah.
So, so your favorite comedian is Joe Rogan, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, comedy mothership.
Hey.
Shout out Austin.
So I was about to say, so many people go to Austin, like some people are interested in going to Austin and shit like that, which I get, but I also feel like, there's something about just doing it where you're at, like I kind of like that, and I'm at the point, like you were saying you got into comedy at a certain age, and I think that's better for me. Like I got into comedy initially in my 20s in Philadelphia, and I was pretty good at it, but I didn't like delve into it. I stopped after like half a year and shit, so I did it for like 6 months. And then when I moved up here older, I feel so much like secure as a person, as a human. And I don't think I would have been able to handle it the way I'm handling it right now.
Right.
Like I don't, like again, I know there's people who talk shit about me. When I tell you, I don't hear anything at all. Nothing, I don't pay no attention to none of that shit. I don't hear anything, I think there's a lot of people who fuck with me, a lot of people who are willing to collaborate, and a lot of people who are like matching that energy, you know what I mean? And but I think there was a time in my life where I probably would have been like, oh, he said that, I feel so insecure, or something about it, you know what I mean? I laugh a lot at my jokes when I'm on stage. Someone told me the other day, started to tell me, oh, you laugh? I was like, shut the fuck up. I don't need to fucking think about your voice in my head every time I fucking get on stage. I just cut that shit off right now. But in a joking way, it was my boy, But still, it was like, I think, it kind of helps you when you get in it at a certain age. I think there's some benefits to it as opposed to other arts and other mediums. Sometimes it feels like it's a young man's sport, like singing or rapping or anything like that,
Like for me right now, and not just age-wise, but I just think like the things I'm experiencing, my jokes or my story... Like my material is different than everyone else's. You know what I mean?
You have to. I think it's all about finding your fan base, right?
Also, that
finding the people that can relate to you.
Yes. Yeah. So like I mean at this point I have multiple sets, but like I can know when I walk in a room like, oof, okay, not that joke, not this joke. I know like
that's a sign of a good comedian.
I'm like okay, this is what we're gonna do tonight. Or if it like okay, there's certain rooms that. They're skewed younger, or maybe they're like Gen Z or whatever, and it's like so I can't be like any parents because they're gonna be like, sorry, girl. You guys
remember that episode of I Love Lucy?
And they're like, no, forget you. They're like, we don't. Nope. Like feel bad for you. Right. But yeah, I tried like a new joke / story a couple weeks ago. And it was about learning that my son's masturbating. And
oh wow! I thought your son was so much younger than I thought. I thought he was like 6 or something.
No,
I'm like, whoa, okay. He's ahead of the.
That's a unique perspective.
A preteen, and so I was talking about that, and like the whole audience was captivated. They were like.
But
nobody was laughing. Oh, yeah. And then finally at the end, like I finally got them to laugh at the end, and I was like, "Are you guys okay?" And I was like. or do you just all feel really fucking bad for me right now? And like, that's what got the laugh. When the show was over, 4 moms came up. They were like, we just want to let you know that was like really funny. And like, oh my God, that's like the funny. And like, I'm going through that too, and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. Bitch, why didn't you laugh? Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I hate that. I needed that. Yeah. So, you know, they were like, we were like, all like, oh my God, this is so funny. This is exactly what's happening to us. And I was like, I needed you, sis. Like,
next show.
In my brain. But I was like, oh, thank you guys so much. I was like, I made a joke about it. And I was like, don't be scared to laugh next time. They're like, okay. And
sometimes
I was like,
you see them start to laugh.
Did you get them to follow you?
Yeah, and I always get like, you know,
close the deal.
Yeah, I'm like, and they're like, are you gonna be back here next year? I'm like, I don't know. You follow me on Instagram.
Organic growth.
Yeah, that's real person to person growth.
Yeah,
you know, that's what's up.
Yeah, this is a funny story. I'll tell it briefly. I had an experience like that where I did comedy at a brewery, and it was a competition. It was my first competition. The audience gets to vote, and there was a group of ladies, mom's night out, 9 moms rolling for me. And so when they voted, I didn't win. Right. And there were 16 people in the venue, and 9 of them
mathin'.
It wasn't mathin'. So one of them came up to me afterwards, and she was like, I just want to let you know that you got robbed, because there's no way that you didn't. And the whole table was like, yeah, Jess, like, we loved, like, we all voted for you. Never met these women a day in my life. Yeah. So then it was kind of like a date, and they were like, this one, they were like, you know, our friend, they were like, she's so funny, and, you know, she'd like to try it. And I was like, you should, girl. And she's like, I just had my 3rd baby. And I was like, well, if you ever get a wild hair, blah, 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 whatever. So we stay connected organically, right, on Instagram. And then the day of my mediation, my divorce, I had a divorce party. And I just sent invitations to women only. And I was like, I'm going to be at this bar from these hours. It'll be a revolving door. Please come by, send your condolences, sit with me, whatever you'd like to do. And that one of those ladies, a fan, came to my divorce party. We're in completely different phases in life. She's happily married. She just had her 3rd baby. This woman, she showed up like freaking Elle Woods that night. She pulled out her best pink blazer. She put on some tight pants, and she was like, I'm here to celebrate my girl getting divorced. And I was like, and everybody was like, all my girlfriends, everyone kind of like knew each other, even though they were like from different circles. And then at one point, everybody was like, who's the girl in the jacket? And so then nobody knew. So then at one point, somebody was like, Jess, sweetheart, like, do you know? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, who is she? And I was like, that's my first fan.
Yes!
Hey.
And they were like, she's a fan. And I was like, I have never hung out with this woman. She has come to 2 of my comedy shows. She follows me on social media.
Super fan.
And awesome. I invited her, and she showed up, and they were like, okay. I was
Bro,
like,
it is weird. It feels like that even like when someone on like TikTok or something is like says their fan.
Did you take your shoe off?
I had flannels on. I kind of
got it. Okay, sorry. I just saw a sock.
You smell it, or is that it?
No, I can't smell
it. No free foot pick.
Yeah, no free foot pick.
Yeah, put your foot down.
This is like a little tease. Like, you know,
you don't know.
Like a woman in
yoga
tights.
The pod has taken a turn.
Funwithfeet.com.
The monetizing has changed.
Yeah, you gotta blur out the Puma part. You know, we can't afford that.
Yeah,
you can't see.
You can't say that.
You can't say that.
It's cut off. Don't worry about it.
His socks actually say the N-word.
That's why it's cut off. You can't see it, you know? That's funny. I forgot what I was going to say, actually.
Damn it. I'm sorry I did that.
That's okay.
I
God damn it, Lauren. This is the last time I asked you to fucking come and help out, you know? Jesus Christ, you know? Sign out. No, but you were talking about fucking, whatever.
The mom, the fan.
Oh, you know, I was saying, yes, thank you, Lauren. See, you redeemed yourself. You came back, you know? And no, even like people on social media hit you up and they tell you they're like your fan or something. You're like, what the fuck, really? You know, like David Westgate was recording me the other day. And I was like, why you record my set, bitch? Like, it's weird. You know what I mean? Like, and he was like, no, my brother. Remember, he hit me up. His brother after the podcast hit me up and was saying like, oh man, this was really funny. And he was recording me for his brother. I was like, that's super. You know, maybe it's a little. I guess it's weird the way you're looking at me, but
no,
you know, I guess it's a little creepy. I'll edit that part out. You know, I just either way, it made me feel a little like, okay, damn, that's crazy. Your relative is a fan of mine. That's fucking, you know.
I had that the other day.
It wasn't so fucking creepy for me.
On Instagram, some guy like messaged me like, "Oh, I liked your set the other night." No, so I just replied, and I was like, "Oh, thanks, I appreciate that." And he was like, "Oh my gosh." you replied. And I was like, yeah.
Have you had to block anyone yet? I've had to block a few people.
Yeah, dude, I bet.
Just only comedians.
I mean, it's with the territory. You're going to have to.
That's so funny, really.
Just comics.
That's funny.
Yeah, I got a few comics booked. Not booked, blocked. They're definitely not booked. Sorry.
Yeah, this is one. This is one.
Yeah,
this is
typically the ones who are blocked aren't the ones that get booked.
You know. Well, actually, you know why I got there? Because some of them are getting booked, and it's pissing me the fuck off.
Yeah. Remember the time I blocked you because you sent me that unsolicited?
No, I'm kidding. Honestly,
it didn't look that bad. You know, you were. So I've seen worse dick pics. You know, can we be
I've
friends
never
again?
gotten a dick pic before.
Yeah, that's good.
I've never gotten a dick pic. I think I've gotten
That's
one.
impressive, actually.
I know, but you go
impressive.
back to asking. You did ask us like if we are intimidating, right?
Mm-hmm. To intimidate for a dick pic?
No, for men. I think.
Yeah.
I think I've been told this since I was like a little tomboy, you know, doing sports.
Yeah.
So I think either they're too scared or I just Zoom. Honestly, let's just do it. You know, like don't send a picture. I'm just kidding.
I will say.
Kidding.
I mean, I guess I can see why to someone that would be a little intimidating. I guess maybe they feel like, you know, you're just more confident than they are in a way.
Nikki Glaser actually said that at least with her observation, the longer a male comedian is in the game, like the more attention he gets from women. And then the longer women do it, the less attention we get from men, which I've been doing for 7 years.
That's
like,
interesting.
I find that to be very true because if you dig yourself more into this career, you don't have time for a relationship, but also can they handle that type of relationship? Because I feel like men, there's been all these stories. Like, I actually dated a comedian and then he like, you know what? Not going to go there.
You can't say that.
I was like, yeah.
That's funny.
Anyways, I just it's hard.
You're not gonna go there now. You gotta go there now.
No,
you got to.
I'll pivot. Do you know who Ken Miller is?
Yeah,
I know one Ken Miller, but I don't
Ken Miller. He's like the godfather of Orlando comedy.
Oh,
he's
really?
like
very funny,
very funny. He's mentored a lot of people. He's not doing that anymore. But we're similar in age, but obviously he's been at the game for a really long time, and his wife is one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen in real life ever.
Wow.
And he's not a bad looking dude. But I asked Ken and I was like, how?
Fuck your wife? Is that what you
No, I was just like, how? Like how? But yes, but how? Like and he just looked at me and he was like, she thinks I'm funny. Yeah. And I was like,
well, that's such a big part. Like even now when
great.
I mean, listen. First off, I gotta say, I encountered my first potential chuckle fucker, and it was the one time I did a road gig, you know. So I was like, already, you know what I mean? It did immediately hit me. I was like, oh, that was quick, you know what I mean? I didn't do anything with her, but she was willing. You know what I mean?
No man has ever come up to me after a show and been like, "You're really funny. I want to fuck you."
Nope.
They've mostly come up to me and been like, "You're really brave for shaving your head."
Wow, is that like that's a compliment if ever?
Either way, yeah, you don't. It's a different experience.
Yeah, it is, and that's interesting because I never delved into it like this. But but there's a lot of times where you see like a contrast, you know, between like men and women. But in the comedy dating scene, you know, it's interesting. I've never talked about it, you know. So I will say too, it's not just the funny thing too. I think it's a confidence that you carry about yourself. You know, the fact. I mean,
he's a nice dude, and he's not ugly. But I'm going to show you afterwards.
If you got money, first off, if you got a lot of money and you...
But she has money. Like, it's like she's...
it doesn't
she's
hurt
like a celebrity. Like, you know what I mean?
Is she? Who is
no,
she?
But like, you know what I mean? Like, she's like... I don't know. She just looks famous. Like, she looks like somebody. And every time I see... I'm just kind of like...
Jess, she better be fucking hot.
She's
when I look
beautiful.
I swear to God, I will text you. I'm like, you know?
This podcast is sponsored by Ken's wife.
Ken Miller's wife.
She's a realtor. Buy a home from her.
Why are realtors so hot? When did that start happening? Jesus Christ.
They got to walk from house to house. Hot for a walk.
You never see an ugly realtor. You know, you're struggling. If you're an ugly realtor, you're struggling as an agency. You're hiring ugly, busted people.
But no, it was like the best. And his face was just like so earnest. And he was just like, she thinks I'm fine. And I was like,
it's the whole swag.
Cool. And I was like, where's my freaking Chris Evans, who's just like, He dated Jenny Slate, who's a stand-up, but whatever. But that's what I'm looking for. Everyone was thinking it when they were together, not just me.
Like, I get into comedy, I don't even flirt. I try not to flirt with anybody. None of that shit. I just dare. Not even that. I'm not telling myself not to. I flirt maybe a little bit, but I'm not there for that, and I know that I'm not there for that. Yeah. So I'm just like kind of just doing my thing. I get up there and go there to fucking drink, have fun, and do my thing.
It's got to be at least some people don't have that boundary for themselves, but at least it's got to be a lesson. Like, don't shit where you eat. I learned this in swimming. Not that anyone wanted to date me while I was a swimmer, but like. Other swimmers, I mean.
Did you shit in the pool?
And that's kind of hard because, like, you guys are like naked. Like, you guys are basically like half naked.
Swimmers
always
are half naked all the time. Yeah. Godlike bodies.
Yeah.
Like, and then bodies. It's like, don't sleep with anybody.
Don't sleep
with
any
of
these wet, glistening people.
I have never thought it. Because I always thought about swimming. I never thought about fucking my teammates.
Yeah, they're all wet and glistening in tight leotards.
Lauren's like the conducting derby of swimming. She's like, I don't see anything.
Blinders on, bitch. Blinders on.
It's just about me in the water. That's it.
You have to learn that when you do breaststroke, anyways.
Yeah. No, but I don't know. It's not even. I don't even think of it as a boundary. Like, I am open to it. I slept with one female comedian.
Yeah, and we are also those.
Yeah, they are that too.
I
slept with one, and it was very, mutual. It wasn't anything. You know what I mean? We're so cool. We're so buddies. But it wasn't like I went there for that. It was one of those things where I was drinking towards the end of the night. It kind of, you know what I mean? One of those things, but it wasn't like.
Oh, so you were lonely. That's
what'd you say?
Comedy.
Yeah.
Wow, we were lonely one night.
Yeah, we're all just a bunch of lonely motherfuckers. Right? And then what I hate too is when an attractive girl goes to a comedy club or like to do comedy. Man, do the comics flock. It's like so embarrassing, bro. I'm like, gee, I don't even, to the point where sometimes I don't even want to say hi to the person or talk to them because I just feel like I'm like in some kind of line. I'm like, what the fuck?
Can I tell you a secret? Don't tell anyone.
Look right into the camera and don't tell anybody what you want to say.
I will cock block the fuck out of male comedians.
Yeah.
Good.
Literally, I'll be like, "What's your name, gal pal? Stick with me tonight. You're sticking with me."
Oh, you
want the biggest cock block ever.
Oh man, I get it.
Stay away.
That's also why I don't hit on girls.
Get out of here.
She fucking comes in with a vengeance. That was me like fucking banging my foot because I was laughing so hard. Being weird,
Somebody's not.
Do you cock block though? What, you see a young little thing on the scene, you're like, no, don't talk to him. He's horrible. You fucking.
I will not go up to her and be like, he's horrible. But I will fucking
like, put a physical barrier between you.
Sometimes I've seen so many girls.
She puts the floor's wet sign like right there. It's like, don't get near.
I don't know. I just get scared. So whatever. I'm a little mama bear too. Sometimes
I get that. That's fair.
Just because I remember that being new, like I had hair, it was nice and blonde, and like I remember being told things like, don't wear your hair up because it's intimidating, don't talk about this, don't talk about that. It was just like, it's all coming from dudes. I don't want your
I have two group chats, two female comedian group chats. I'm in one with 3 other women and one with 2 other women, and in one of them we talk about stuff like this all the time. And like yesterday it was like one thing that like we have to deal with that you guys don't. So okay, like, oh, you're on the show, blah blah blah, will you send us a picture for the flyer, will you send this picture for promotion? We will send you guys a picture, and then I'm saying general you guys, not you, Manny.
Again,
and not you, Manny, not you, Nick.
Can you sit here and let me sit there so we can fucking...
He did use the headshot I sent him, though. He did.
So yeah, if you use like... please like use the photo we sent, because some of us have paid professionally for those photos and so like that's why we want it to be used. But some bookers will like scroll your Instagram
I do that and I felt a little weird about that
and be like, no one said anything yet. She looks pretty there, or I like her better with blonde hair than brunette, or oh, she's wearing something low cut. The amount of times I've submitted a photo and the photo used was not the one I sent.
Does that happen often to you?
It does. So I'm
it hasn't happened to me a lot, but
to be fair, if someone gave me a specific photo, I definitely would have used it. But I usually just grab just for the thumbnails.
And so now I've started. I'll send more than one. I'll be like, these are your choices.
So I think
give options here.
You bring up a very good point about being a comedian that is prepared. Like the fact that you have professional pictures helps your career. There are some of these comedians, like I make posters, and there's some headliners that don't have professional headshots, and it's like, bro, like, What are you doing? You're
I don't have
extremely
a
funny. You got to be have a headshot.
Yep.
Have a bio,
yep.
right? And have some form of sharing your, like, if you're going to get into Instagram, get into Instagram. If you're going to get into TikTok, like, have your shit organized so people can find you and make it easy for the producers. I feel
like an extremely unorganized, low-level comic right now.
No.
This conversation's making me very insecure.
You're being judged.
You know, I feel so judged. Thank you guys very much.
I just want to check my phone now.
Can you take a headshot for me after this?
Yeah, take a headshot. I need you to take a clip from this video.
Use that magic app to write a bio for me.
All I'm saying is that you got to be prepared because
you're right. You're right.
You produce the podcast, so there's a lot of work. Have you produced shows before?
Do what?
Have you produced shows before?
No.
You should. I feel like you should.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a great experience to
produce show like comedy shows. Or something? Put on a comedy show.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because I'm gonna actually. There would be a great moms group in St. Pete. It's called the Evermom Collective.
Okay.
And I did a comedy show with them last June. And I feel like they want to do. I'll give you their information.
Okay, good.
Yeah. All right. Well, shout out to the Evermoms Collective.
Evermom, yeah, they're cool.
We're gonna start one called the Never Dads Association. You know, the NDA. That doesn't
all
sound
the
right at
dudes
all.
who paid for abortions in the last year.
Oh my god.
Non-dads.
That's so funny.
A fucking male one, you know, just for dads though. You know, that would be so whack. It would just be dad jokes, literally, right?
Just dad jokes.
Literally dad jokes, you know. But yeah, this comes to so. Also, what made you wanna get into comedy? Like, I know when you got to put that first time you got on, you know, what was it that you were like, okay, tonight's the night, I'm gonna fucking do this, you know?
So I mean, I did my showcase. I was like, okay, I wrote these jokes, it worked, everybody came, it was good, and then it was like, okay, that went well. But then it was like, oh, now you have to do mics.
Yeah, and I will say, because you brought 50 people with you,
yeah,
which could be deceptive, because I'm sure they laughed at everything, you know. And sometimes when you go up for the, because that's what James Esseline told me that too. He was like, I've invited everybody, and my thought was like, Jesus Christ, you invited people on your first open mic, you know?
Yeah.
But then he said it worked out for him in the opposite way because everyone was laughing for him, and then it wasn't until he started like hitting the grind that he was like, Jesus Christ, okay, it wasn't as easy as I thought. You know what I mean? So there's like a little catch-22 with that too, you know.
It makes it a little delusional.
I mean, I think the Orlando's, you guys over here have a way broader scene, I feel.
Really? I'm frightened of the Orlando scene now. All
Are
the stories
you?
I've been hearing. I'm like, you know,
I mean, I think our scene is like, I don't know. It's got our own thing, but it's like we don't have mics every night, like, you know.
Really?
No, we have several nights where there's no mics.
What?
And so that's kind of hard.
So that means that the mics that do go on are hyper congested, right? There's a lot of
correct.
What nights are empty?
Like there's no Friday night mic.
What?
We have no Friday night mic.
Orlando.
So if you're not on a show, like if you haven't booked something, so I tend to book, like, okay, so this is personal, but whatever. So I don't have my son's Wednesdays and Thursday nights. So Wednesdays and Thursdays are my kid-free evenings, and then we alternate weekends, and weekends are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that's how I book my shows. So if someone's like, hey, Jess, can you do this date? If it's not a Wednesday or a Thursday or a Friday that I don't have my son, I'll have to ask them for like the following week or the following whatever. I'm like, I'm always free Wednesdays and Thursdays. But like I can never do comedy Mondays and Tuesday nights. We do have a mic on Mondays. We don't have a mic on Tuesday anymore.
Open mics? There's no.
Oh wait, we do, but it's very late. And it used to be a mic that was on a Thursday, and then it moved to a Tuesday.
So now there's no mic on Thursday.
Yeah, and so, and then also it's just kind of like what's like the feedback you're gonna get. Then Wednesday is a very congested mic, but a very popular mic, which is great. So shout out to the Bull and Bush. And
yeah, that's actually a pretty good mic.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yes, but there's so many people that we only get 3 minutes. So then some of us, which we have done, will drive to like Winter Haven for Laugh Out Lounge mic. Just so we can get full 5. Like, you know, so then now we're driving for mics, not even like pay, not even show. So it's like we're driving, and now Madcaps has a Wednesday night mic. So it's like, oh, you can drive to Madcaps. So it's kind of like you're trying to figure out these little things, but we don't have mics every night, and so
that's just shocking.
It's hard sometimes if you're booked to be like, oh, I'm booked on the same night as a mic, and now I don't have a mic.
You know, you don't
like
have a mic.
to go to before the show.
You have to get your bookings before.
Yeah, so it's kind of
so mics and shit.
Yeah,
it's kind of interesting. It was a little surprising because I'm sorry not to cut you off. It's that the Orlando seems like there's such a it's such a scene there. that they don't have mics.
We have a great scene, but we don't.
Like it. We
don't have mics every night, and sometimes we can't keep them, or like, and it's not about us. It's about the venues or the rooms or whatever.
Yeah, that's also if you burn a venue. That shit. I mean, you know about burning venues. But anyone knows about burning venues.
Yeah, but Orlando, man, there's got to be some bar owner that's got to step it up, you know? Gonna fucking get some
there's got to be someone, at least a comedian, that wants to like take it on too, because that's how a community grows.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone's like, I will.
Yeah, there you go. You can start a mic. Essentially, is what we're saying.
I could start a mic. Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be you every week. It could just be a group of you. You each, like 4 of you, each take a like first.
That's what we do for Stand Up for News.
Yeah.
And I've seen the process, and it's surprisingly not that difficult. You find a bar, someone who's willing to do it. You know, we have a PA system, and then we alternate. There's 4 hosts: me, James, Captain Jim, and Robin. And we always alternate who hosts. Then we bring a feature in, and they pay us. You know, not substantially, but it gives like $200, and then we'll pay the feature with that. You know. And maybe I should bleep out the $200 part, but you know they pay us.
This is your podcast.
They pay us in potato chips and fucking
and
joys.
Sodas.
You know, Fantas, not even the good sodas. You know.
Now I want wings.
But yeah, now you gotta come down to Tampa more for stuff then, because we have mics every night.
Yeah, every
I
night.
know
There's a mic.
you guys have
Multiple
mics every night.
You can choose not to go to a certain place and go to another place.
I don't do comedy on Monday nights though. That's like my no comedy.
That's
take
her
a break.
fucking Dancing with the Stars. Right, that's her time.
How did you know I was dancing in my room by myself?
That's
but yeah. So we have every night, even Sunday.
Well,
but you gotta.
And we have one mic on Sundays, but it's at a coffee house, and it's not just comedy. It's like open mics.
Mixed, yeah.
That's sometimes not that good.
Right. So.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, though, a stage is a stage is a stage. The mic's in your hand. You go up there and you figure out what you want to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
A mic's a mic,
There's always
for sure.
something to take from everything.
Yeah,
you
got
every time you go up there, you know.
Even if it's just like being comfortable up there.
And honestly, when you make them laugh, it feels a little better because you're like, wow, I mean, these isn't even ready for you.
Yeah,
you know.
There is a difference between a mixed media and a comedy mic. Very much so. It's a different crowd. Completely.
Yeah, and it's true what you were saying, like finding the crowds. Like I feel like I'm not a particularly dirty comic, but I just say whatever the fuck I want to say, you know. Like
see, I don't think I am either, and now I've been labeled as that. People are like, "Oh, you're not a clean comedian." I'm like, "Oh, so now I'm
That's
also known as that." They're like, "Oh, yeah." So in the mom group, like, because like I said, there's not a mom group. There's like a parental 40s in Orlando.
Yeah, I get it.
And they're like, "Oh no, she's the dirty one." Like,
you're the dirty one of the moms.
Yeah, I'm the dirty mom because I'm the single one. So they're like, "Yeah, I got her. She's divorced."
I have a question for you.
Yes.
So you mentioned how people see you. How do you want to be seen from other comedians in the community?
That's a good question.
I want to be seen as funny, which I think. I mean, I think most people do. I don't like the preconceived notion, like, oh, you got booked because you're a woman, or you got booked because you look a certain way. I'm not fishing for compliments at all, but I will tell you, I am one of the most insecure people I know personally. So I feel like I didn't even find out I was attractive till I joined comedy a year and a half ago, because everyone's like, oh my God, like, you're so pretty. And I'm like, relax, I am. I'm like,
I fucking know.
See more people. But yeah, so I don't know, or just like, you know, unwanted attention or like unsavory statements from male comedians, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, maybe I am, like, because people wouldn't say things like that. So I think I just want to be seen like as professional. I think
your style. What about your comedy style?
Oh, my style. I think my style relatable. I want to be like a relatable comedian. Like, I think I've always been, and that's probably because of my theater training, I like to tell stories. I think I'm a good storyteller. And so adding jokes or like witty comments in between those stories is funny. So like someone like a John Mulaney, you know, who's like an incredible like storyteller.
Christopher Titus is also a really good story.
Yes, my most favorite. I shout him out on so many podcasts. He's probably over me. But many years ago, there used to be a show on NBC called Last Comic Standing.
Of course, I remember that. Yeah.
And a lot of like
I feel
now.
like you think we're so much younger than you think you're giving us a lot more credit. You know what I mean? I've never felt so flattered. You know?
Yeah, I'm telling the audience. I don't know who your age demographic is. Also, you guys are young, but you guys are like 5 years younger than me, so you're probably like out in the club while I was like changing diapers. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yeah.
So, I was a really big fan of the show Last Comic Standing. Obviously, there's a lot of famous comedians who came from that show, or they were working comics, but now they're more household names because of that show. So one of the people on that show, his name was Tommy Johnigan, and I became enamored with him and like his style and just like his cadence, how he spoke, how he hit punchlines, how he told stories. Became obsessed. Well, I was pregnant after I'd finished, like, Last Comic Standing got canceled, whatever. He was touring and he came to the Improv in Orlando. Oh, shit, nice. And very pregnant Jess was like, went with my husband at the time, and I was like in an early stage of pregnancy where I was like very nauseous. I was like, I'm so excited.
That's so awesome.
To watch, Tommy Johnigan. So we go, and then because I was pregnant, I was like, at the end, the shows are like, don't forget to tip your servers, blah, blah, blah. They're giving you like the closing announcements, and I'm like, hey, let's go, because I wanted to avoid the crowd too with like my belly. And I literally leave the Orlando Improv. Not sure if you've ever been there, and there's a bar outside of the Orlando Improv. And I don't know if they still do this, but back in the day, like, the features or the headliners would wait after the show, and people could take pictures or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool.
Meet and greet.
Meet and greet. So I went out there, and at the bar, there was literally nobody at that bar except the people who worked there, and freaking Tommy Johnigan sitting at the bar. And it was like I saw Beyonce. I was like,
I love that.
And I froze, and my husband was like, do you want to meet? And I was like, I can't even talk. And so he went up and he was like, hi. He was like, Tommy, like, this is my wife, Jess. She's a huge fan of yours. And he's like, oh, he's like, you are? He's like, come on, let's take a picture. I'm like, okay,
you can touch me.
He proceeded over the years to come back to Orlando 3 times. We got this picture every time.
A little tradition.
Yeah, the second time he came, his partner got pregnant shortly after. So for many years now, we've said our children are now 12. Our children are going to get married. And I'm like, so whatever.
That's so fun.
Or we're going to set up our kids, blah, blah, blah. But I think it was the second or third time he came into town. I had friends come out. I was like, oh, my favorite comedian's coming to the Improv. And so I went with like a big group, and we were right in the front. And at the time, like, it was like before podcasts, before everything was digital, like, and comedians were still selling like CDs. Yeah. And so he was like, oh, I have these CDs for sale, blah, blah, blah. And then he was like in the middle of, like, during the middle of his set, he was like, oh shit. He was like, Jess, he's like, oh, I didn't know you were, he's like, I didn't know you were coming to the show. And I'm like, yeah.
You out on the set?
We just started talking. He's like, oh, I thought you would come to like the earlier show. And I was like, no. And he's like, oh, it's whatever. He's like, oh, blah, blah. He's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. He's like, I'll talk to you after. He's like, oh no, like, she's my friend.
Wow, shit, wow.
And I was like, okay. And then he was like, oh,
you are her, who I don't know what her name was, the story with the pink jacket. In your story.
Oh,
that's who
fan,
you are.
That's who you are. I'm his pink jacket.
Yeah, pink jacket.
Yeah.
So how much of a factor was he in your divorce? I mean, it sounds like was he?
No.
Your husband like, well, he's coming every fucking week now.
No, he hasn't been to Orlando in years, and now he's a writer for like CBS. He's no longer a touring comic.
Well, is he acting like brand new, or is he still talking to you every now and then? You know?
No, like he'll message or like stuff cool. Or
that's awesome.
Whatever.
That's fun. That's
like
good
me,
connection.
he sees that I do comedy now. Yeah. He has a podcast, whatever. But like I think that same show was like the same time I first saw, like, his opener used to be Joe List. So it was like, it was just like a whole, like, a weird thing. And I'm like, this was like over 10 years ago, because my son's 12. But yeah, it was like, this is bananas. And now, like, here I am.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Doing it. You're in it. Yay.
So that was going to go to my other question was going to be, like, what was your, like, inspirations in comedy? I guess he's certainly...
Oh, he was one. I think when I was a little girl and I would watch comedy with my grandfather. So back in the day, PBS in the evening used to show comedy specials. That's like the first time I ever saw Mel Brooks. First time I ever saw
Mel Brooks. Wow.
Yeah, first time I ever saw Richard Pryor. First time I ever saw George Carlin. First time I ever saw Gallagher. Like all of these.
Those are the big names.
Yeah, those are the big names. And so it was like, after 8 p.m. they would be like a beep, and then like they would switch to comedy. Yeah, and I just remember watching things like that. I remember watching like the Carol Burnett show.
Queen.
Yeah, like a Queen. I'm a 90s kid, so like In Living Color, and then SNL, and then Mad TV, and like all that.
The
Amanda Show, like you know what I mean? It was kind of like these, like this is this is part of my soul. Like this is like who I am, and so it was always, like I said, it was like always a thing, like in my heart, like I'm gonna do this one day.
And when did you start acting?
I started acting when I was 9.
What was your first gig? Like, were you like, Mom, I'm gonna be a star?
So I did.
Take me out.
I did like most people, like most entertainers. We start out in the church. Like so.
Sing for Jesus.
Yeah,
they always act like good people. But.
Yeah, so Whitney Houston started singing at her church.
Brittany.
Look just
how
like
they ended up. All right, that's fine.
Yeah, different like acting things. So back in the 90s, there used to be like a Christian Latino singer. His name was Carmen. Do you know who that is?
Oh yeah, Carmen. Our God is an awesome God. He raised from heaven on earth.
Yeah.
How did you know this shit? Lauren was holding back. She waited until I got to the second verse.
I dated Puerto Ricans.
So in the 90s, there was like all this like a new rage to do, like how like at the time it was called lyrical. Nowadays the type of dance is called contemporary, but at the same time there was kind of this also like expression of acting, and like that was like this like very performative, but it was kind of like lip syncing, and it was pantomime.
I know, pantomime. I know what that is. I went to a Pentecostal church to put on white gloves. Remember?
Oh yes, honey.
You ever see Napoleon Dynamite? Remember? It was like, my love is like a river. That's exactly what that shit is, bro.
Yeah. So my very first role, I was Mary in the Nativity, and then
you was the mom. Always the mom. Born to be the mom.
Born to be the mom, and then I did pantomime stuff, and then I grew up in Orlando in the 90s, so everything filmed here, like Disney Channel and Nickelodeon and all that stuff.
I grew up in New York. I remember seeing commercials be like, get a free plane ride down to Orlando.
If you want like a picture of my childhood, there's a documentary on Hulu called The Orange Years, and if you want to know what it was like growing up as a child in the 90s in Orlando, that is the perfect documentary. And so there was all of these opportunities, like, oh well, someone knows so and so, and like Jessica can meet them and blah blah blah. So the very first like big audition I got was for Star Search, which shot here.
Wow.
Ooh, my song Whitney Houston. Oh, we're gonna keep calling it back to Whitney.
Yeah. Listen, that word is for a reason.
I want to dance with somebody.
Synchronicity.
I want to dance with somebody. I get there from my audition for. I freeze. I was like frozen. And so it didn't happen, and then I did like some other auditions for like Nickelodeon TV shows, like
oh my god,
Guts.
Oh wow, you did Guts?
I remember Guts.
That's so crazy.
And all that stuff. And then when I started like middle school and high school, I was like, okay, I want to pursue. My mom was like,
brought it back with Guts. I'm sorry.
You're welcome.
I forgot about that.
Legends of the Aggro Crag. Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Did you audition for that too?
I did. My friends got on that.
The Temple one. Yeah, that was the best one.
Yeah. It was like American Ninja Warriors for like kids and shit.
Yeah.
All this shit,
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Man. That's amazing. What a cool story.
All of these like weird things. And then when I got to high school, I went to a performing arts high school in Orlando, and I always joke that I'm going to write a book when I get older called Everyone I Went to School With Is Famous But Me, because everyone I went to school with is famous.
Okay, who did you go to school with?
Do you know who Michael James Scott is? Not from The Office. Like the
other Michael James Scott. Point B.
He's the genie in Aladdin. And like on Broadway, and
I know
who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And he does like a lot of things for Disney and stuff like that.
I've seen him before. He's very talented.
Okay, so I went to high school with him. I went to high school with Amanda Seales. She's a comedian. I'm not sure if you're familiar with her. Yep, I went to high school with Amanda Seales. She was also on the show Insecure. Shout out Amanda. I went to high school with Ashley Eckstein. Who is the voice of Ahsoka Tano? If you
shit! Wait a minute. Stop,
if you follow Star Wars,
I got real geeky there. Lauren was like,
I
have trauma with Star Wars.
Did you ever watch Friday Night Lights?
Yeah, the movie, not the show.
There's a show, and there's a character on the show called Luke Cafferty. His real name is Matt Loria. He was one of my best friends in high school.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was kind of like a whole thing. Like I'm still friends with her to this day. Like one of my close girlfriends, her name is Tatiana Rodriguez, and her brother is Luis Fonsi. So he sings Despacito.
Oh, damn, that motherfucker.
Oh my God! Okay, listen. My dad discovered that song, and I'm telling you, it was like came out in 2017. I remember this because I was in Denver. That song was hot.
That song was everywhere, bro.
It
White
was
people all over the place singing Spanish.
I moved back to Florida in 2021. My dad goes. I get in the car from the airport. And he's like, oh, this new song I found is great. And I'm like, Dad, that's... And he's there just like, Dad, you're so Canadian.
Like
stop. I can't.
Middle-aged white man. Just
but that's amazing that you...
Yeah,
you know?
so I there's like so many more people. And then, then we all went to like different colleges and different things. And then people made friends with like other entertainers. So then like between like 6 degrees of separation. So like my son thinks it's so cool that like my son's godmother has 2 best friends, me, and then the other person is Amy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh,
so,
really?
which is like my son's like favorite show.
You better fucking get on the TV show.
Yeah, so he's always like, my godmother, like has 2 best friends, my mother. And Amy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Just throw that in there. So, does your son have any interest in acting?
Yes.
Yeah,
so
has he gone into it?
Yes. And he has interest in acting. He also has interest in like writing scripts, producing things. So he has 2 different notebooks. So he has like a script writing notebook, and then he has like a joke writing notebook.
Yeah. That's brilliant that you let him do
Yeah, I just let him like explore. So we just got back from vacation yesterday. We're on a 7-day cruise, just me and his. Just me and him.
What kind of cruise was it?
Walt Disney World.
Hey! That's how you want to cruise.
I understand you so much more now.
We went on a Walt Disney World cruise, you guys, to the Caribbean. And speaking of like technology and stuff like that, like it was international. We were on water, whatever. So it was like such a nice break. Like I had no social. Like for 7 days, it was just like me and my son. Everything's great. And while we were there was one night where I just heard him doing something, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like, "I'm workshopping a new character."
Oh, yeah.
And every night on the ship at around 6:00, my son would change from himself to this new character.
He's a method actor.
And every time he discovered or created something new about this person, he was like, I gotta remember that. And then like he would quiz me the next day, like, do you remember what his favorite food is? Do you remember? And I'd be like, yep, you said this. And he was like, good job, Mom. And I was like, thank you very much.
I love that.
That's awesome,
how cool. All the luck to you and your son.
Who did you grow up listening to as far as comedy? Who influenced you?
To be honest, nobody.
Oh, yeah?
Not till college, in which honestly I got into Dane Cook, but like
this podcast is sponsored by Dane Cook and Whitney Houston.
And Ken Miller's wife.
Ken Miller's wife, yeah.
Yeah, don't forget about Ken Miller's wife.
I love you.
So besides like
man, can you give 5 minutes with your wife, please? I'm sure.
I don't think she'd be into me. Nobody is.
Have some
You're funny,
girl.
You're cute.
I know. I gotta be funnier for her.
I'm sure Ken wouldn't mind. I mean, what's you know?
I should memorize his set and be like, do you think I'm funny? What do you think?
Send her a letter. Yes. Circle yes or no.
Maybe.
He adds a maybe.
That's funny.
That's funny. Listen, but no. So you didn't have any
my family was very like, and I think
there's a huge separation between the arts and the sports, the athletic world. Because I was an athlete. Like, I was High School Musical gone wrong. Like, I didn't... Seriously, it was like all sports or nothing. Like, I remember I had no chance of going to college unless I got a scholarship type stuff. So, like, sports in my house was very big. So I didn't have time to get into the arts.
Was it coming from your mom or your dad?
Both.
Really? They were both?
The pressure of also working through that and becoming, like, somewhat successful in that thing that you're doing. Like, I didn't have time to be not good at swimming. So, I had to be good to get into school. So, anyways, yeah. I wanted to try out for
a play in middle school. I wanted to quit swimming, and then my dad's like, if you quit now, you're gonna quit the rest of your life. And I was like, ah! No! And then I remember this one summer, there was this girl named Emily who was on a different swim team, and she had parents that let her do both. Like, so she was
shout out Emily.
Shout out Emily. She was much more into theater.
This podcast also sponsored by Emily.
I don't know her last name yet because she's happily married now. But she did theater, and I was like, I wanna do Sound of Music. Because that was the summer play that they were doing. So my parents let me one summer do Sound of Music, and I got to be a featured dancer.
Heck yeah, Lauren.
And then, I know, I was a nun, and then I fell down.
Just those dancing nuns and Sound of Music.
Well, I danced all the way into a surgery because I fell down the stairs my costume, and I tore my meniscus.
Wow.
And then my parents were like, see what happens
I know.
You get hurt.
Meanwhile, you're doing something far more physically aggressive.
Yeah. But no, I didn't get into stand-up comedy until I was like, I don't know, I remember lifeguarding at a 4 foot deep, what is that? LA Fitness. I was like, I had a cast and everything, and I was like lifeguarding. It was weird, like, but I would daydream about doing stand up, and I was like, where the fuck did this come from? Because I didn't watch stand up. Like,
but were you making your friends laugh? Like, what was it?
I always like, I had a close group of friends my senior year of high school, and I would always make them laugh. Like, that was like kind of how relieving tension in the home, I guess, too. But yeah, and I don't know. It just one day I just got the hair up my ass, and my friend Holly was like, "You need to." It always starts with a friend. It's like, you need to do comedy.
That's what
so then, I brought like 20 people, all golf caddies. Mm-hmm. Tragic mistake. I had a golf caddy era, and it was
what the fuck?
Not golf caddy era.
Is golf caddy something like a reference or something? Like
I just dated golf caddies. Like I just like caddies? Yeah, it was that's trash. So I
didn't know that was like a term for a certain type of man.
Yeah,
that was just actual. You were really into one profession.
I love when Puerto Ricans hear someone white discuss something like very much in like white culture, and we're like, is that even real?
They really exist.
Golf caddies are real.
Golf caddies do exist, and if you need anything to make yourself feel better, if you don't drink, they got a lot of drugs. Okay. There's a lot of shifting going on at the golf course.
Inside.
It was like this one hole on the course that they worked at where they would like hide the drugs behind this tree, and I was like, Jesus, what are you doing?
Okay.
Yeah. Well, golfers were too good.
Shout out to golf caddies.
Shout out to golf caddies.
Calusa Pines. Hey, okay, I'll call out that fucking whatever. Anyway, so yeah,
you're gonna have the security looking behind every tree.
But I did comedy for like 4 months, and sorry.
No, you just calling out all their spots.
I know.
This episode.
Your clubs are in great hands.
They weren't when I was dating half of them. Shit. Anyways, I spent like 4 months doing comedy. And then I quit because I was like, this is hard. I'm not famous yet. This sucks. Yeah. And then a year and a half goes by, and then I date another golf caddy, the final golf caddy. And it was just like I had no business being in that position. I put myself in. And then we were watching Jim Gaffigan one night, and then he was laughing hysterically because he was coked the fuck up. And I was coked up just crying, being like, I quit doing that. And then he just yelled at me for crying. And then he's like, you don't have the stones to do comedy. So then I kicked him out of the apartment that he was living in. That was mine. And then I went up on stage the next week, and I haven't stopped. I've taken a few breaks, but I have the stones.
And sometimes taking a break is so necessary, and you don't realize it until then you get back on stage. You're like, oof, I kind of needed that.
What necessitates a break for you guys? Have you taken a break?
Yeah, I've taken like when I say a break, like maybe 2 weeks not doing open mic. Not like a break. Well, no, first I took a break from like, it was too much of a long break. It was like 12 years. So when I went from Philly, then I had my child and all that. But then as far as like, no, because there's always like wanting to be on it. Sometimes like for me, maybe not, but like for 3 weeks, for like 2 weeks or something, I won't go into a mic. When I go back on, I'm like, oh, man, I kind of needed that time away from it. You know what I mean? A little bit, you know?
Yeah, that's good.
Not like a huge hiatus or anything.
Have you? Oh, you've been doing it a year now. So you're going strong. Dude, 7 years in, I didn't do any comedy over COVID. I was like, fuck Zoom shows. I don't give a fuck.
So weird.
I got my money right. That's for sure. And then I got it wrong with one bad decision. But
that's all it takes sometimes.
Yeah, and then I took 6 months off when I got sober.
Oh, yeah.
But
so you're completely sober now? Well,
from alcohol.
from the bad stuff, I guess.
From the bad.
Yeah,
the rest of it's fun.
Man, I guess for me, I always grew up, like, I used to love Conan O'Brien, watching this shit, man. I used to stay up late. I still
listen to him. You listen to that pod?
Yeah, I listen to this podcast on occasion. I used to stay up late, like, past Conan O'Brien. Like, I used to fucking grind my teeth to the fucking boring-ass Jay Leno. Like, fucking giving him...
Yeah, Conan was where it's at, yeah.
For? Like, old people staying in hospitals and shit, right? I used to fucking watch this shit, and then I used to get to Conan late as shit. I had school the next morning. And then Conan used to crack me up because I always remember his monologues were not funny to me. He was funny when he started interacting with people.
Yeah.
Once
the
he
crowd
started,
work,
and I used to love that, just making people laugh. Like, dude, he was the only talk show. I hate when guests come on talk show because it's all pre-recorded, all pre.
Right. Thank you for being here.
No. Yeah, I don't know why you came, Jess. This is horrible. No, but I hate. I hate. You know what I mean, though? Like when they're like on the Tonight Show.
Just so everyone knows, Orlando is 2.5 hours away from this location.
She drove for this.
Yeah, no, you know what I mean, though. Like they're like pre-written or fake ass conversations. I hate that. Where a celebrity sits down and they talk about.
Well, you want to know why though?
What?
Contracts.
Yeah.
They have things that they are and are not allowed to talk about.
And I get that. No, I get that. Yeah. And then you want it to go smoothly too.
Yeah.
You don't want it to be awkward and shit like that. But for Conan, he was the only person where I would sit there just to watch his interaction with the guests, because he would always go off the cuff. He'll make it like even within that tight, regulated conversation, he always cut it outside the lines, and he made it funny. And he'll do dumb shit. You know what I mean? And I love that. I thought he was like the last great like late night host.
Did we hear? Speaking of late night, did we hear that Taylor Tomlinson?
Yes,
she has her own late night show. Did you know that?
No, I don't
Taylor
know.
Yeah, maybe that'll be your
the new late night
person.
woman.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know who she is. I never checked her. I gotta check her out.
She's a great writer.
There's
She's very funny.
a lot of comics that I have no idea. I pretty much just listen to the comics that I like. I don't really
makes sense.
I don't really listen. Every now and like sometimes someone will come up on my algorithm. And I'm like, oh, this is funny.
Did you see Chappelle when he came?
No. I love Chappelle though. I love it. And that's like, would you consider Chappelle dirty or like they're not particularly dirty? They just say what's on their mind, kind of. So sometimes it's dirty. Are you okay? Are you hurting yourself?
I broke the mic. I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right. Well, I don't know. We must be going for some time now. Where are we at?
Dude, we're almost at an hour and a half.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Oh, shit.
It wasn't as long as I thought it was.
This wasn't plugged in for a little bit. I think.
I got.
You got it. Okay, good. I'm sorry.
One more time. No shit.
Go back. Rewind.
Yeah. So, but him, and then I like Bill Burr. I love Bill Burr. I love Dave Chappelle, shit like that. People who are, but it's a style of comedy that I think they both kind of fall into that I kind of like, and I try to I just feel like that's kind of how I do it a little bit.
So know about that 11-minute tape
in Philadelphia? That
yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, you're from Philly.
I'm from Philly, bro.
Yeah. Were you there?
Funny.
Were you there?
No, I wish. When I do, that shit had me cracking up,
Did you know about this?
No.
Bill Burr went on like an 11-minute rant.
On what?
And Philly, because he did a performance in Philadelphia. It was the Opie and Anthony show.
Okay.
They did a performance, right? They were doing like a showcase, so Patrice O'Neal, everybody was there. He was hosting, right? And he went up, and the crowd was like rowdy. They weren't laughing much at him.
They weren't just rowdy. They were rowdy, but I think beforehand they had heckled every single comedian that had gone up. So they were a rude-ass crowd.
Don Amaro, whatever his name is, he was from Philly. He was like a Philly legend. And Bill Burr was saying, like, when they fucking started, like, shitting on their own person, that's when he was like, I kind of fuck it. Yeah, then he just went off on them.
Yeah,
like it was a very defensive. Fuck you guys! I got 11 more goddamn minutes.
A lot
Your
of
whole
fucks.
fucking city sucks.
A lot.
He was like, you guys. He was just going off on Philly. He was like, you guys fucking build a statue out of a fake fucking. He was like, all your pride and joy in the city is like a fake fucking character, Rocky Balboa. It's not even a real guy. He was like, meanwhile, you have real boxers, but what? Joe Frazier's black, so you don't want to make a statue about it. He was just going off.
Oh, he's just going in
off on Philly. He was like, and then he kept counting down. He was like, 10 more minutes of this bullshit.
Yeah, 8 minutes. 7 minutes.
Like, you fucking shitty Subway smell like piss. Bro, he was going off. He was like, you guys haven't won a Super Bowl in like 25 goddamn years, and one of you guys are miserable. Dude, he was just going off. And it was like
so like him. Trend. You like comedy like
that? Yeah,
I
do like comedy like that. And I'm like that too. Like, I curse and shit. Like, I just say funny shit. Like, I do shit about cancel culture and shit like that, But it's not particularly dirty. Like, you see in comics who are just, it almost feels like they're being dirty just to be dirty. Like, it's like, you don't have to, you can say that without being so disgusting. You know what I mean?
I would say being dirty as a comedian, like, you definitely get a fan base for sure.
Yeah.
But you're going to have more opportunities when you're cleaner. But if you don't want to be a clean comedian, at least have a clean set ready.
What I'm saying is there's a line between, like, dirty comics and not clean comics. Agreed. I'm a not clean comic. I'm not like, if someone says, oh, you have to be clean, I know that's not my show. I'm not getting on that show. You know what I mean? If you have to use hyper clean. But if it's a plate, but I'm not also like particularly dirty. I'm not like
You've been called dirty.
I have been, which I think is interesting. Yeah, but I think it's interesting though because I think
look at him being a male comedian. Let her finish.
I would have said that if anyone
I think my whole vibe, like my whole like aesthetic is kind of like a misdirect, right? Because so like people could potentially like see me on a flyer, or they'll see my social media, or they'll see like I do, like it's part of my brand. Like I'll do like a fit check like before a show, or like I always post what I'm wearing, or I would like, you know, whatever. It's like just part of who I am as a person.
I love that.
And then when I get there, you know, I sound friendly and I sound welcoming, and then I start talking about what I'm talking about, and I think that's also, that adds like, you know, to my set, that it's kind of like, oh my god, isn't she so cute, she just said pussy. Oh, she just like talked about masturbating for 10 minutes. I love her, like, you know what I mean? I'm like, okay, bye guys, have a great night. So I think it's like a mix, and I've had older male comedians on the scene say that like that's like an interesting angle for me. They're like, you're older but you present younger, you seem like, oh, she's a mother and she's going to talk about all these nice things, and she's dressed all nice, and
you have a bubbly disposition.
Yes.
So
and
when
then
you get on stage,
but then there's moments where, you know, I'll kind of play it up to whatever the audience is. So as an example, like one of the things I do for crowd work is I'll ask someone in the audience what kind of porn they watch.
I saw that. That was hilarious. Also, the German shit.
So I mean, I get a different answer every time, Manny. Like
also,
it's
like
crowd
work, the German shit.
It just depends. But so the last one I did a don't tell, and I typically try to ask a woman what kind of porn she watches, but if I don't have anyone up front or whatever, I go for whatever I got. So I asked what I thought was a gay couple, but it just happened to be homies. And so, homie, they're like, no, we're just friends. And shout out to John and Joseph. Because I was like, I was like, they're not. But they're like, no, they're not. They're like, no, we're friends. We're just coming out for the night. And then you could tell one of them was really timid. And I was like, hey, John, do you mind if I ask you a question? And he was like, and I was like, all right, never mind, I'll ask Joseph. So then I asked Joseph, and I was like, what kind of porn do you watch? And Joseph's response was, petite MILFs.
Oh, wow. Hit the hammer on the nail on the head, I guess, right? That's what I was aiming for.
So, I at this point with crowd work, you get to choose, like, you know, which path do you take?
What did you do?
Like, so I said, like petite brunette MILFs who do comedy, or like something else. And then he said, yeah, you hit the nail on the head. And I was like, that's so cute. Thanks. And so whatever. So then, you know, we went back and forth, and then I finished my jokes. Afterwards, this is the funny part. He's like, oh, I'm not sure if you remember me. And I'm thinking to myself, from 30 minutes ago. yeah, I remember you. And he's like,
did you get this taped?
No. And there's a reason why, but it's so annoying. So I was like, oh, he's like, you know, asking how long you've been doing stand up, blah, 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 this and the other. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, you know, he's like, when's your next show? And I'm like, oh, here's my Instagram, you know, whatever. So I give him my Instagram, and then, because I have a comedy Instagram and then I have a private Instagram.
I feel a little offended that I don't
boundaries.
Now I feel a little offended.
I don't let people follow me, like my private, unless I know you personally.
Well, I don't want to follow your private anyway.
Fine. I mean, you can. It is so fun, and it's different content.
It's so fun.
But whatever. You don't have to follow me. But if you do, there's 2 separate forms of content. You're welcome.
All right. I'll think about it.
Thanks. Think about it. Anyway, so then I said to him, like, oh, you can follow, you know, my private whatever. And this person's Instagram also private. So we exchanged Instagrams. And then when he accepted mine and I could see his private profile is when I noticed that he graduated college last year.
Hey.
How does it feel to be Matt Rife's type?
So, but I have a rule, Lauren. It's in my set right now. I have a rule. I don't let anyone push in. I could have pushed out.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. Okay.
So if I could have mothered you, if I could have like done all the things. No, that's weird to me. That's weird to me.
It is weird. That's why I have
It's weird for a woman. I know men don't.
No, it's
men
weird.
don't care.
Wait a minute. That's not true. Listen, I got a 14-year-old daughter. Let me be honest. Look, what the fuck? if you're like 19, I can't in all honesty fuck you. Like I feel weird about that. I feel like at least.
Oh, but she's an adult.
No, yeah, but I feel like at least you gotta no. Sorry, I feel like at least you gotta be able to buy liquor. That's like the bare minimum for me, Especially like if we're gonna try to like talk and shit. There's no way I'm talking to somebody who can't even buy liquor. To me, that feels so weird. I'm gonna be the creep guy, fucking bringing cases of beer to their friends and shit. Like fucking,
No.
What kind of weird shit is that?
Your beard and your hair and your shirt, to be honest, don't help.
I already know where this is going. I already know where this is going, bro. Yeah, it's bad enough that I already look like it.
You seem like a predator.
I already look like it. That's what I'm saying. So. It's hard.
Honestly, it's just not gonna work.
That's funny. It is hard, to look like this, so I have to be anti, if there's any. Okay, fine. I fuck 18-year-olds all the time. Is that what you want to hear? No?
Bleep that out.
There's no good way to go here. Jesus
but
Christ,
you're a cancel comic. You like that. Keep
you guys give me no options,
Keep it in.
If I fuck the 18-year-olds, I'm wrong. If I don't fuck them, I'm wrong. Jesus fucking Christ.
No,
like,
you're
what
right.
Are we doing
You're
here?
right. You're right if you don't do that.
No, but I'm just saying, honestly, as a child, I have a 14-year-old girl, bro, and she's like in high school now, and it just fucking feels weird, It just feels strange.
You know what that makes you?
What?
Normal.
Ooh, I just gotta chill about it.
Oh my god, we were just talking to Maddie. Maddie was talking about how fucking she doesn't find anything wrong with the fact that Crystalia texted a girl when she was 15. The girl reached out to him when she was 15. And he didn't respond, but he came back when she was 18. It's like, how the fuck? And he told her, like, oh, you're not old enough. Talk to me when you're 18. He said something like that and shit. Maddie was like, well, he didn't do anything wrong. I'm like, Maddie, how the fuck is that? I mean, he didn't do anything illegal, I guess.
There's a difference between wrong and illegal.
That's weird.
I think I think keeping someone harvested until they're ready for pruning.
The fact that you use the word harvested makes my heart so happy because it's true.
It's like a plant. He just has like a plant of children.
We'll be plucking her in 3 years.
Let me tuck you away for a little bit of rest.
It's only January. It's not her birthday quite yet.
Until she gets a period.
Just running around looking at her birthday's in June. October
she's not
next
there.
year.
What does she look like again? Oh, let me plant her with my seed.
He uses a quill the whole time.
Dearest Madeline,
sincerely,
I've been pining for you, Mike.
It's just a fortnight till your birthday comes around.
Sincerely, Crystalia. Signed, Delia. Always truly yours.
Crystalia.
Oh my gosh, the funniest thing about him I heard someone say recently was like he got canceled so hard that he decided to get married and have a baby. And I've never heard truer words.
I don't doubt the fact that he would like try to up his image real quick.
He's like, look guys, and it's like we already got Nate Bargatze, man. We good, dog.
It just makes your fucking life seem weird as fuck. Like why the fuck would you marry somebody in the midst of all that, I don't know. Well, I don't know. Every to each your own. I don't want to be too judgmental. I don't know what's going on.
No, I'm gonna judge men like that. I'm gonna judge them hard.
Yeah. But
I love when male comedians about other male comedians who are like obvious predators or obvious criminals. It's like, you know what? Maybe he's had a bad day. I don't know. Let's not judge him. Yeah, maybe
he didn't do it to me.
Maybe he's all right. I don't know him.
I mean, he's funny. He's funny.
He's real funny. Work aside.
That is stupid, but I will say this. Some people don't know how to make a distinction between someone's art and like the fucked up shit that they do, because it's like sometimes.
Why should we?
No. I'm just saying maybe you shouldn't. I'm just saying that there is a distinction to be made, though. If he was a great artist, now that you found out he does something bad, like his art automatically isn't good anymore. I'm like, there's still like that's being. I don't know. There's a distinction there. You know what I mean?
Can I ask you a controversial question? You can ask it back.
I sang "Keys to the Ignition" for karaoke today. And I was like, why do I feel so bad? Then I was like, this is an R. Kelly song. I was like, this song smells like he peed on it.
So what's your question?
Controversial question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Who's your favorite Michael Jackson?
Who's my favorite Michael Jackson?
Like, yeah. Like, is Michael Jackson canceled to you?
Wait, no. Well, he's dead, so that's
right.
Not the ultimate cancel.
Yeah, that's actually one of my jokes.
He done. But no, like I'm saying, like so. For example, like for me, okay.
I didn't quite understand the question. I'm sorry.
Because he's known as being a predator.
Right? So for me, like I fuck with like Jackson 5 Michael Jackson.
Oh, when he was being molested.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's so bad. I'm sorry. When he was the victim. You like the victim, Michael, not the
No, but I'm saying, but
Michael.
like, he wasn't yet, like, hurting anyone. So, like, those songs, like, all of that's, like, kid Michael Jackson, that's my Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I also get the idea of, like, well, fuck this guy. I don't want to support anything of that. I get that. But don't sit here and tell me
yeah,
you
I get that. But that's, like, that's how,
Thriller,
like, when you cancel people, like, that's kind of how I'm, like, so... you could do it with like an actor, like but I can't do it with this actor. But,
see, there you go.
Because I don't know him as a child. But that's what
I don't know him as a victim.
But I'm saying like Michael Jackson as a child, like, you know, pre-allegations, pre-whatever, like that's like my favorite Michael Jackson. But like if you're talking about like Kevin Spacey, he can go like kick rocks. Like I think
what you're saying is what does the artist represent for you? Because you obviously have a lot of stake in that artist. And some people still fucking love R. Kelly because of where they were in their life and what R. Kelly provided for them in the moment.
Yeah.
And unless you watch that documentary, and then you shouldn't. Yeah. You will not like that.
I get that. No, but you'll be surprised. I mean, people know what he did, and he still has fucking fans out there. And then, like you said, there's always like delusional fans who just because they like him, I don't believe he did it. You know. It's like,
I mean, I don't want to get into a whole R. Kelly podcast, but I mean, he is not 100%. Responsible for that too, because everything that happened to all of those women, their parents also allowed.
Yeah, their parents. It's like, bro, there's no way my daughter was getting in that fucking studio with a grown ass man.
Yeah, like, okay, baby, have fun. I was like, you know, you see people in this documentary like crying, like I did wrong, and it's like,
yeah, you're taking a step further.
Did wrong.
I won't doubt the fact that in their mind, there's a little bit of like, if she gets to know with a celebrity, it can be life changing, which is pretty fucked up because you're kind of in a way putting your child in that situation. I'm not saying that all of them did that, but you're kind of doing
children.
That. Like the Michael Jackson thing. Here's the reason why it was so blurry with him is because both avenues
the parents
look very realistic. One, that a parent would do that to try to capitalize off their fucking child and shit, you know. And even if two of those stories were right, 2 out of 5, and those 3 were people riding on the coattails of it. You know what I mean? They just kind of devalues everything. The kid who got in trouble and all that stuff. So the reason why that's such like up in the air still is because dude, first off, if there's anyone who you could put this motherfucker on a lineup and be like, who looks like they touch children? That motherfucker's every day, right? There isn't a moment in any time in history where you wouldn't pick Michael Jackson.
90% of Hollywood looks like.
I know. I agree with that. But I'm saying it doesn't help his case that if all the people you have like this sexually ambiguous alien person, it's fucking just like an entity. Like
all of his plastic surgery.
Yeah, all that stuff, and like he's always weird. It's like, dude, like he wasn't fucking his like whatever. Either way, you look at that shit and you're like, okay, if he's weird enough where you're like, I can totally see this guy. He has like the whole amusement park shit and all that. He always talks about his childhood. Like I can totally see this guy touching a child, like without a doubt. It's not beyond the pale of imagination. But then you can also see a parent like, you know, get in there, you know, try to get money, you know, so you don't have to actually get molested. You say
Michael
you did,
Jackson.
you know, or like sleep in his bed and say he, you know, or some shit like that. Yeah. There's some fucked up parents out there or humans who would do that shit, you know. So
facts.
You just got to be careful about this shit too. And then this other thing, like how quick do you blame? And there's a lot of over blaming, which is like look at Johnny Depp, man. Like he got his shit fucked up. Obviously, it seems like she was the crazy one.
She is the crazy one.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But at first, there was so much like, oh, he's a wife beater. Like it comes out, there's a lot of accusation.
I blame both of them. That they both have. Honestly, I'm not in that relationship, but how they were both behaving, like
it was toxic.
It was not healthy.
It was toxic.
Yeah,
it was 100% toxic.
And that's why I will stay single and get another cat.
And oftentimes I will say, look, we try to like make things black and white. Who's right? Who's wrong? And oftentimes,
why is it got to be about race?
It's not like that. It's nuanced. What did she say?
Ask her.
No. I'm sorry. What did you say?
So why you got to make it about race?
Oh, yeah. We're talking about Michael Jackson. It kind of crept his way in there, you know. No, but there's
he's black and white.
Yeah, but there's a lot of like who's right and who's wrong. A lot of times it's like both. You know, it's not so cut and dry. Like I'm sure he was being a dick. She was just being more of a dick. You know,
right.
She kind of took it a little too far.
Tit for tat, turd for turd.
You know, but to say that like, you know, to say that someone abused you when they didn't is pretty fucked up. It could be like detrimental to the person.
Yeah,
you know,
agreed.
You know, and all that shit. So you gotta just be careful too.
Life's a wild place out there.
Yeah.
There's no HR in comedy.
Yeah. Just stay away from it. Everybody
I was talking about this with my sister. She's a Marine, right? The biggest HR of our country that we have, right? And her husband's also a Marine. And so I was talking to them about like the shit that goes down. And I was in Denver at the time. It was just like so much drama. And then her husband who's in like he's like training for like the special I don't know how to say special forces like the elite. He's in the elite. He's like, you need to get and talk to your boss. You need to talk to the HR comedy. You need to get in there.
HR comedy.
We're like, I was like,
Mr. Chappelle,
excuse me,
we're having problems, okay?
Tampa is not safe.
Oh my God, Orlando's so scary.
Mr. Chappelle.
Mr. Chappelle, I just saw your show and you made me lock away my phone. So can we talk for like a minute?
That's funny. But listen, yeah, I don't know. We'll end this I guess soon.
Yeah, how long have we been on?
For a while.
2, right?
But I will say there is something about that I hold on to, and it also comes with like me being a little older in comedy. It's just like I'm at the point where I'm just gonna keep doing my thing, just keep remaining true to myself.
Don't worry about nobody.
Yeah, you hear a lot of advice, and like even at this stint back in comedy, I got some advice that made me insecure and shit. I was like, you know what, just do.
What's the worst advice you've ever been given? What?
Man, honestly, recently, the one that
tell me somebody was like, have you ever thought about this tag? Like,
tell me. I don't know if it's the worst, but it's the one that kind of like fucked with me. I'll tell you, it was like a few months ago, like 6 months ago or something. And I roast a lot. Like when I bring people up, I take jabs at people.
Yeah,
all the time.
sure.
That's just the way I do, you know. So I'll call you up. But it's like, you know, once you get done, well, that's funny. Give it up to this guy sounds like whatever. I'll just roast, you know. So then and I did it one time, and I do it to comics and shit, you know, when they come in and out. I did it one time, and then the one guy, I guess I can bleep him out. Scott Bird, you know Scott Bird, right?
Yeah.
He started hitting me with some shit like, oh, you know, man, you got to be professional, da 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 da. And it started fucking me a little bit to the point where, and then I just had to re-embrace the idea of like, dude, just fucking do you. Like, don't let people get in your head. Yeah, why you worry about me? Like, that's what I'm saying. I start hearing people's voices in your head and shit like that. And it's okay if he felt like that. And that's cool that he feels like that. But also, it's like, dude, you're a comic. You can't take a joke. Suck a dick. Get the fuck out. You know, if you fucking hurt that I'm fucking roasting you a little bit, it's like, suck a dick, you know. I feel like anybody, especially where it was happening at, if it was like at a showcase, it's like a fucking open mic, you know. Suck a dick, dude. So, and I'll beep his name out, I guess. So I don't want him to.
And bleep out the other comedians. You know? You're gonna have to bleep out a lot of names.
You need to bleep me out the whole time.
He's gonna have like a block, like
just like make her like a voice modulator, like, secret comedian.
First time I did comedy was in just in the shadows and shit.
Like I swam first.
Throat and shit, like, you know.
Nobody's gonna know who I am.
But what were you? You sound like you were gonna say something about what I had to say.
I forgot.
But you know, and I'm sure there's some truth to that, to whatever.
Okay, yeah, I remember. So I've been doing this long enough to where like I've made a lot of mistakes. So if there's someone that I feel like, oh, they probably shouldn't be doing this. Like I've told a few people, like, hey, don't talk. I was like, you're talking a lot of shit right now. Like, stop talking shit and just focus on your jokes. Or I had to give someone else advice the other day. I was just like, dude, you're better than your jokes right now. Like, reach a little farther. Like, I'll do that for people, but I won't tell someone to like, don't do it because I say. I'm always like, this is my opinion with my experience. Take it or leave it.
I know, and I'm so.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I just don't. If I offend anyone when I do that,
that's fine. But I'm always in like the best interest. Like I'm always just like trying.
Your intentions are good. Okay, your intentions are good. Which is what matters, you know. What you can tell, and even I think even his intentions were good too. But I think I think the way I consumed it was kind of like, now I gotta be careful every time
don't be careful.
Like double thinking certain shit, you know. And it's like, and so I'm very careful. The only advice I ever give to anybody is if I hear a lot of the same jokes over and over again, because like I do open mics and shit like that, and so I hear people work out their shit. If I hear something funny or something made me laugh differently that time, I'll come up to you and I'll be like, bro, you know, this shit was fun to me. Like the way, you know, I make it very clear. I disclaim it. I'm like, listen, I'm not trying to say anything, but the way you said that this time had me genuinely cracking up. Like I really, like I heard your other shit. The way you said that really had me rolling. You know what I mean? So I'll say some shit like that, but I don't try to be like, hey, maybe be a little more, you know, or anything like that. You should wear
your hair up. You're more
yeah, I know. The time to like fucking my hair, all that shit, you know.
Yeah. And
it's okay. I mean, whatever. And then what I realized in a lot of our forums, you know, is authenticity. I can't say it right.
Authenticity.
Thank you for helping me there. That's why I have a white person on the podcast so they can help me out.
Hey.
Authenticity. Yeah, so they... But, like, as long as you're that, man, you know, and it becomes easier to be that. Like, I feel like the more you grow and shit, you know. But I think as long as you're that, people come knocking for you, and then you're consistent, and, you know, people come knocking for you without having to kiss ass or anything like that. You know, I think as long as you put that out there, you know, it's not like things only work out for you in one if you handle it one way. Or
so
another,
so was that the worst advice though that you've ever gotten?
I don't know. Like, worst. Okay, that was the one that hit hardest. The worst one was I was doing one Soggy Bottoms that I went up and the set didn't work. And I got off. The guy was like, "Oh, I know the guy too." The guy was like, "Oh, I try not to, maybe don't get married to your jokes, and try to marry." And I was like, try to do something else, and then
maybe cheat on your jokes.
I mean, I
get what he was saying, though, but that's my best set. That's the one I'm doing the tour with right now. Like that's like my shit. I was like the one set where I was like, when I did that set for the first time, it was at I Rule the World, and it was very tight in there. There was so many people in there. I was the first one up, and everyone laughed. It was like. I don't think I'm at the point where I really killed that whole room, but that's the closest I think I've been to it. And everyone, like, everything I said laughed and whistles, and I walked out there. I was like, whoa, I couldn't do this. You know what I mean? It was one of those nights where you're like, I can do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which by the way, I have a show there tonight at 8. So a show.
Hey, shout out! Yeah.
So, it's gonna be fun.
I think that's a very good point. I think he's right. Don't get married to your jokes, but as a comedian, you have so much faith and confidence in this one joke that makes people laugh that you're like, I want to stick with it forever.
Yeah.
So then. Like, working on newer material gets harder because you just, like, sink into... You literally start telling the jokes without thinking about that you're just spewing out of your... Like, lines in a movie, right?
Then there's that balance between being performative and being, like, just free.
Oh, the worst advice... the worst advice someone gave me was to stop moving on stage.
What the
fuck?
And
I was like, absolutely
you're
not.
like, that's my
so
whole
thing. I love it, girl.
I know.
You're like, that's my set.
I love
Thanks.
that.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're so animated.
I'm going to mime this whole thing.
If someone says, like, Lauren, I would definitely use that animated to bring you up. Like, as far as, like, your stage presence, Like, you're very animated. I love that about you, though.
Yeah,
thanks,
that's
like
man.
An adjective I would use for sure because it's like, girl, you fucking draw in the energy. There's no way we're not looking at you when you get up on the mic.
Hey.
You're like a lizard. Like, you're just loud. You're boisterous. I wouldn't say loud. Sorry, I didn't mean that.
Lucky he brings his...
Let me shut up. Let me shut up.
No, what? Okay, what's the worst advice that you... Sorry, shut you down. I don't want to talk about that.
I don't think I've gotten... like advice per se, but I said this on another podcast I was on recently. I just feel like male comedians tend to hand out like opinions, like free condoms at like gay bars. It's unnecessary and just it kind of like throws me off guard because it's not like you're not expecting it, and there's never like a preamble like, hey, would you be open to me? Like it's just kind of like boom,
always.
So I think the thing that threw me off the most was I did a show with a very, very funny person. I really like him a lot as a person. It was the first time he saw me, and when I got off stage, he was like, hey, can I give you some advice on your set?
Wait, he was a comedian. Okay.
And I was like, I mean, I didn't want to be disrespectful, so I was like, well, what's your opinion? He was like, I think you're too pretty to talk about your pussy on stage.
Wow. Did he say it in those exact words?
100%.
Oh, wow.
He was like, I think you're too pretty to talk about your pussy on stage.
That
and
made me feel uncomfortable.
At least he didn't say your pussy's too pretty to talk about on stage.
Your
I
pussy's
was
way
like,
too
I
pretty
mean,
to
she
talk about
is, and now
the
you'll
queen
never
about
see
your
her
stage.
because you said that to me. No, I'm just kidding. But
now you'll never see her.
Locked. But no, I think my response was, would you say this to a female comedian who wasn't attractive?
What did he say?
No way, because she's not pretty. It was like he'll probably say your pussy needs to speak more on stage. He'll probably like say the opposite or something.
I was like, would you say this to someone you didn't find attractive, or would you? And he just kind of like laughed, and I was like, so I guess that's a no.
I wonder how did he think the conversation was going to pan out, like in his head after you say that.
I think
like,
he felt like he was like.
You're right, my pussy is,
like a a Jiminy Cricket of some sort. He was like, let me be your conscience guy, Jess.
Yeah. Well, I think
stop talking about her.
Yeah, that's weird. That's funny. Okay, well, on that note, guys, we should be wrapping up. I feel like you're so uncomfortable. I feel horrible. I gotta buy you icy hot after this and shit. Guys,
it's a hard tea.
Wait, we had another person in here the whole time.
Dun dun
He's
dun.
back there writing down everything, jotting in his journal.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Brilliant.
All right, guys. Well, here's the thing. I appreciate you so much, Jess, for coming. I really do. You're our first out of towner. The first one here. We have a bunch from Orlando wanting to come. So that's fantastic. You were our first Puerto Rican guest. I'm usually the only Puerto Rican here, so right now they're the minority.
This is iconic. This is iconic.
What was Manny? Other Manny.
Manny was a Cuban.
Cuban.
I know. I was like, damn, so close. You know,
we
so
got
close,
this.
You know?
I'm honored to be here.
And Lauren, thank you. I was getting to you guys.
No, it's just because I'm with some Puerto Ricans. I feel good.
You're honored to be here in the presence of 2 Puerto Ricans.
I am.
And none of us, and you're gonna have all 4 hook caps when you leave, I think. All right.
I'm gonna have more.
Wait, what kind of car does she drive?
You know, I'm joking.
Her name is Carol.
Yeah. All right, guys. Shout out to Lauren, man. Thank you so much, man. Maddie, we never did quite address the fact that she's sick. She couldn't come in. She's
very ill.
Her voice is gone. She had the bronchitis,
bronchitis.
Sweet sugar, whatever she said was. So no, Lauren, thank you so much for coming, man. I appreciate it. Last minute, you know, it's always fun. This was a super fun episode.
Yeah.
You know, it was good talking to you guys.
Happy to be here on a podcast called "We Can't Say This Anymore."
A list of things you might not be able to say.
We don't talk anymore.
Despacito.
We usually say good talk.
Good talk.
Good talk.
Good
Good
talk.
talk.
Hey, look
Good
at
talk.
that. We did it. All right. This was awesome.
Great talk.
Yeah.
Woo.
Woohoo.
Everybody get some